Hey everyone, I sincerely appreciate your support. If you enjoy my audiobooks, I would be truly grateful if you could subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to support even further, you're welcome to become a Patreon member, where you can access audiobooks of novels as long as they are freely available on the internet. Your kindness and support mean so much. Thank you.
My name is Adam Aragon, and I died. Not in some flashy anime-style explosion, or while pushing a child out of the way of speeding truck. Nope, just a good old-fashioned heart attack. One moment I was lying in a hospital bed, the next I was gone. It wasn't tragic. It wasn't noble. It was expected. See, I spent most of my life in and out of hospitals. Growing up with a failing heart kind of sets your expectations low. I always knew I wasn't going to live long. My parents? Barely present. My childhood? A blur of white walls, cold food, and the constant scent of disinfectant. But despite it all, when the end came, I didn't have regrets. No prayers, no desperate pleas for a second chance. I just accepted it, or I thought I did. Instead of fading into the void, I felt pressure, crushing, suffocating pressure. Then sound, voices unfamiliar and loud. Leto, you must push. Push. Wait a second, no. No. That's when it hit me. I was being born again. Cue existential panic. I wasn't sure if this was some divine joke or karmic roulette, but here I was, reborn. And while most people might freak out about turning into a newborn, I was curious. Just one request to the higher powers, if they're listening, please let me be healthy this time. I really don't want to spend another life stuck in a hospital bed. Also, maybe some decent parents this time. That'd be nice. Chapter 2. From Womb to Doom. It took my new mother 8 hours to give birth to me and just 2 to abandon me. Honestly, that might be a world record. All I knew was her name, Leto. That, and the fact that I was apparently Greek now. Fun. Maybe I'll be named Stelio. Stelio Kontos. Yeah, that'd come with a sick theme song at least. So where did I end up? A gloomy, echo-filled Catholic orphanage. Yep, classic. The kind of place that whispers childhood trauma into your bones. And if the rumors were true, well, let's just say I stayed alert. From that point on, life could only go uphill, right? Chapter 3. Nope. Still sucks. 10 years later. I really need to stop jinxing myself. No parents. No love. Just one terrible orphanage, which I eventually escaped. Turns out, surviving on the streets with the mind of an adult in a child's body is surprisingly doable. But healthy? Yes. So, thank you, Cosmic Power, if you're listening. I got that much at least. Unfortunately, something else came with this new body. Dyslexia, ADHD, and an attention span so short I'd lose focus halfway through where's I? Oh, right. Life. The grand adventure of dumpster diving, library squatting, and try to read Greek mythology like a 10-year-old with scrambled brain circuits. Still, I stayed upbeat. Sort of. Let's weigh the pros and cons, I muttered one night. Pros. I'm healthy. Cons. I can't read, I live in trash, and I may have been reborn for cosmic mockery. But hey, beats hospitals. Chapter 4. Monsters and Murphy's Law. 1 year later. No. Life did not get better. I made the mistake of reading Greek mythology in a park library. A curious choice, I admit, given my mysterious parentage. Then BM. A monster jumped out of nowhere and tried to eat me. A literal monster. It looked like something straight out of a Greek nightmare. It even yelled, "Don't run, little demigod. Let me bite your head off." Demigod? Yup. Things clicked real fast. Dyslexia, ADHD, abnormal stamina, abandonment by a goddess mother named Leto. I was a half-blood. A Percy Jackson-style half-blood. And let me tell you, I didn't want this. Power? Cool. Prophecies? No thanks. Monsters? Hard pass. I ran for 8 hours straight and only lost the beast by diving into the sewers. Apparently, monsters hate the smell of shit. Who knew? They're surrounded by filth, I cried. Not because I was scared, but because this was the first challenge I couldn't outthink or escape through sheer determination. Everything up until now had been manageable. But this? This was war. Still, at least now I knew the truth. I was a demigod, reborn into the world of Percy Jackson. And while most kids would be thrilled by the idea of living in a world of gods and monsters, I wasn't most kids. I'd already lived through hell once. I wasn't looking for glory. I just wanted a life. But if fate wanted to fight, then fine. I'd fight. All right, I whispered to myself with a weary grin. Time for whining is over. Let's figure out how to survive. Because this time, I wasn't wasting my second chance. 3 weeks. That's how long it had been since a horrifying Greek nightmare tried to make me its afternoon snack. Since then, I had taken up residence in the only place in the city where even monsters refused to go. The sewers. Gross? Yes. Safe? Also yes. Sure, it reeked like wet rot and despair, and the ambient sounds of dripping sludge made sleep feel like torture, but hey, at least nothing was trying to eat me. By demigod standards, that's practically a 5-star hotel. I knew I could head for Camp Half-Blood. It was safer there. Structured. Organized. Protected. But it also came with a catch. Once you're in, you're stuck. Unless the gods send you on a quest, you can't leave. And after finally earning a second life and a healthy body, I wasn't about to trade freedom for safety. Not yet. So, I needed a plan. All right, Adam. I muttered to myself, sitting in the least disgusting corner of my little lair. A space I'd scrubbed clean with stolen soap and far too much effort. You're the son of a Titaness. If what I read before that monster attack is right, your mom's a legendary archer. Maybe you inherited that. Sounded like a good theory. Problem, I didn't have a bow. And unless a magical armory dropped into my sewer suite, I'd have to steal one. Honestly, after everything I've done to survive, a little shoplifting felt like a minor sin. Walmart, here I come. That was tomorrow's mission. Tonight? Sleep. Will be kind of cool if I turn out to be a natural with a bow. I yawned. Even if regular arrows bounce off monsters like Nerf darts, one problem at a time. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd slept next to a steaming pile of death, which, down here, wasn't entirely metaphorical. But self-pity had no place in a demigod survival plan. I stretched, preparing to sneak out for my new archery procurement mission when I noticed something odd. A book, sitting on top of my food box. No, wait, floating above my food box. That was new. Normally, I'd be thrilled to find something new to read. Options were scarce in my personal sewer library, but the floating part made me pause. 2 options. 1, run and never come back. 2, touch the weird, possibly cursed floating book. Naturally, I chose 2. What the hell? I muttered, stepping closer. Worst case, it kills me. Again, I grabbed it. Big mistake. A multicolored beam of energy burst out and yeeted me across the room like a rag doll. Ow. I groaned, sprawled on the floor. Okay, that's definitely not normal. The book landed open on the ground, glowing faintly, practically daring me to try again. I glared at it, then reached for a stick. You want to play games? Fine. Let's see who wins. I edged closer and read the first word I saw. Editavel. What? I frowned and kept reading. Editavel grants the caster the ability to fly. To activate, visualize yourself flying while focusing on the word. A spell book. Actual, magical spells. That was way outside the bow and arrow playbook. Hecate's kind of deal, not Artemis. But hey, magic beats a pointy stick any day. So I visualized, flying through the sky, feeling the wind, the clouds brushing past me. Living in a hospital all my life made daydreaming second nature. Editavel. I floated. My feet lifted. The air tingled. I was flying. Yes, the power is mine. Fear me, world. I cackled like a supervillain. Then I smashed into the ceiling. Okay, note to self. Learn to steer. New mission. Forget the bow. I was going full wizard. Whoever dropped this spellbook into my life, whether it was Hecate, Hermes, or Amazon Prime, was now my favorite person in the world. Watch out, gods. Sewer Sorcerer Adam has entered the chat. Artemis POV. 2 years ago, Mother asked me for a favor. Retrieve a demigod from a Catholic orphanage in Florida. I wasn't thrilled. I've never been fond of mortal boys. But when a Titaness asks for something, you listen. I assumed it would be simple. It wasn't. The boy had vanished. No trace. Not a whisper. Either the monsters got him, or, unthinkably, he escaped me. And I'm the goddess of the hunt. It seems I must report back to Mother. I sighed, standing atop a forest ridge under the moonlight. The boy is likely dead. It was a boy, Phoebe muttered, stifling a yawn. It was bound to happen. Hold thy tongue. Zoe snapped, glaring at her. Man or not, we were tasked with his protection. We failed. There was nothing more we could have done, I said firmly. If the monsters found him first, then it's already over. And yet, a strange unease lingered in my chest. A whisper in the back of my mind. Because something told me the boy wasn't dead. Not yet. Do you believe in magic? As a child with an endless supply of money, I went to various circuses where I saw the so-called magicians perform tricks and entertain the crowd with their antics, pulling a rabbit out of their hats, or making something disappear. I knew that they weren't real, that their magic was nothing but a very good set of skillful manipulations of the crowd and their incredibly helpful props. Wands turning into bouquets of flowers, people being cut in two, and even young women levitating over the tables without any visible support. All these things were very fun to watch, but in the end, you knew that they weren't real, and there always was a rational explanation to them, no matter if you knew it or not. I didn't believe in magic at the time. Then I died and woke up in a new world with a Titaness for a mother and power in my hands beyond my comprehension, and let me tell you, it feels good. Before the book, everything seemed surreal, almost like a dream, one that I was happy to have no matter how crappy my life was. If only those with a healthy body knew how fucking good it feels to be healthy. Then again, I'm a demigod, so perhaps my body is extra healthy? All right, I am getting out of track. The point is, before this book, it was like I was swimming through the motions. Now, it felt real, perhaps was my mind helping me deal with all the shit this new universe is throwing at me, or something entirely different. Regardless of the reason, everything had changed the moment I opened that book, and it was for the better. Mnemonic incantation, which basically meant talking backwards. The book was full of spells and other stuff in this order. At first it was easy to learn a few, but the longer the spells got, the more time it took to cast them. It was quite honestly hard. But surprisingly, I was improving at an alarming rate, without getting out of the sewers, of course. I do not want to fight a monster if I can't wrap this entire book in less than a minute, if you know what I mean. All right, let's try this one again. I smiled, picking one particular spell from the book. Emit Otiwar Tita 8 when cool. As I said that, I focused on the image I had in my head, what I truly wanted, and like a charm, I was dressed in new and really comfy clothes. I wonder if I can sell this, I chuckled. This magic, while powerful, apparently had various limitations. For one, I couldn't conjure food or anything fully organic. Maybe with time I would be able to do so. But even trying with my very own words to summon stuff like chicken or steak results with an explosion on my face. And the most problematic one, using too many spells tires the heck out of me. But it's not all bad. I could summon water, which is a commodity down here. All right, I have my new clothes, and I don't smell like shit because I enchanted my body to smell like the forest now. Let's take a walk. I know it's a bad idea, but what can I do? I've been on the sewers for weeks. I need a break from smelling shit all day long. As I walked to the exit with a smile on my face, I pointed to the door and excitedly said, Nepo ain't rude. Easy enough, the door opened without any problems. What? As a mage, I will not touch things ever again. All right, just let me play with my new toy. Walking out the sewer, I looked at every possible angle with great wariness. The last thing I wanted was for a monster to come out without giving me time to hit it with my backward words. Coast clear, I smiled, running into the outside world, put to the sewer, with my destination being the park. It kind of felt like I was at home there. It was nice. Maybe I had to do something with my mother, who knows. I'm still new to the demigod business. It took me about an hour to get to the park from my sewer home, and I have to be honest, the park looked like a forest because the place was massive, which was weird. Florida didn't have such big parks, or at least not so full of animal life. Huh. Oh well, the point is that I walked and explored the mysteriously enormous park for hours, petting every animal, pet or not, that stood in my way. Apparently they all loved me, which, considering in my last life they didn't, I'm just going to assume is because of my godly family. Today was a good day, I hummed, as I petted the little squirrel that was on my shoulder that had followed me the entire day. "Thanks for keeping me company, Alvin." I chuckled. Maybe getting out wasn't so bad. So far, no monsters had appeared, and everything was going well. And I just fucked my own day, didn't I? "Alvin, please run." I summoned my bad luck. Taking a deep breath, I turned around, as if following my instincts to see a pack of things that would forever haunt my dream. Well, I hope there is a god of therapy, cause I sure will need his assistance after this. The creatures roaming the park were tall, like very tall, around 10 to 15 foot tall, and looked like skinny cyclops without eyes. Maybe they haven't sensed me yet, and I can escape without fighting or running. As soon as I said that, one of the monsters turned his head to me 180 degrees, scaring the crap out of me. All right, I also need a new pair of magical underwear. Squeak. You don't need underwear. As I said that, the monsters charged at me, their mouths watering to my smell, with their ever-present smiles, editive. I'm not going to lie, I was very scared. Taking deep breaths to calm myself, as I floated away, I could tell that right now my senses on high alert, taking in every little thing going around me, with an absurd amount of detail. I had never been afraid of anything before today, but then again I had never encountered such a realistic depiction of my very own personal nightmare before. "Arif and Rub," I said, pointing at the monsters, as fire burst around them, dealing no damage apparently, for they didn't slow down whatsoever. The monsters drew nearer and nearer, with every step catching up to me. Perhaps the only way to kill them was with godly weapons, and my spells were useless on this setting. All right, Adam, think. You can't harm them, but they touch you, which gives me the upper hand, right? Maybe I had to try and get a godly weapon to try that. Let's see. Evig. Ill dog. No paw. As soon as those words left my mouth, a golden bow appeared in my hands and a silver-colored quiver in my back. A bow. Really? Oh well, I suppose it runs in the family. With determination, I flew even higher to get a better view to aim at the monsters as I gripped the Greek majestic longbow firmly in my left hand, with my right hand slowly reaching to the quiver in my back, brushing the arrows with my hands as I could feel my thumb, index, and middle fingertips lightly grasp the feathered end of the golden arrows on my quiver. Taking a deep breath, I took out the arrow as the monster started to throw things at me, and I could feel this was natural for me. The feeling of the arrow in my hands, the bow in front of me, it felt like a second nature to me. Following my instincts, I notched the arrow to the bow and drew the bowstring back, feeling my muscles flex and strain against the natural strength of the godly longbow resisting my pull. Letting the air out of my lungs, I relaxed, forcing the arrow back to my cheek as I aimed, waiting for the perfect moment to strike them down. The bow creaked in protest as the leathery sinew of the bowstring crackled under the enormous stress and pressure required to draw such a marvelous weapon back to its full potential. I was no longer afraid, no longer confused. Right now, all that mattered was the target in front of me. I could feel my arm muscles bulge. I could feel the tremble they were making from the tremendous force required to hold the bow ready. But I was submerged with it. No pain I was feeling or bother felt unnatural. Breathing in and out, I mentally evaluated my targets. The range, the distance, the winds. Information I had no prior knowledge about was now within my grasp. Finally, just when the monsters lined up for a microsecond, I released the arrow with a flash of light, followed by the loud and pronounced cracking snap of the bowstring as the pressure left it. The arrow shaft streaked from the longbow with lightning speed, launching itself into the sweet embrace of the moonlight ready to strike down my prey. Frame by frame, I could see the arrow as it gently floated over the high arch of the bow, beginning its trajectory. As if everything had slowed down, I followed the arrow in slow motion, keeping my firm gaze upon the monsters who were waiting patiently to receive the arrow I had shot, and in a loud sound-breaking boom, I witnessed how the arrow pierced the three monsters in a line, leaving a gaping hole between them in its waking, before turning their bodies to dust. Wow, I muttered in shock, holding the bow in front of me with a sense of familiarity I never knew I could have with an object. Apollo POV. I was having a nice day, and of course my dear sister decided to play a prank on me by summoning my golden bow to my mansion What purpose could she have to do that? No idea. Artemis can be a pain sometimes to understand, but I knew for a fact it was her, simply because no other being besides her and Mother can summon my bow. "What up, sis?" I said, teleporting to her current location. "Not that I don't enjoy a good old prank, but give me my bow back, please." Artemis sighed and scoffed. "I did not take your weapon, Apollo." As the god of truth, I immediately knew she wasn't lying. Then if it wasn't you, then it must have been Mother, but why? I asked, worried. Why would she need my weapon? She knows if anyone bothers her, I would strike them down. No one in all of creation messes with her. I must go. I feel Mother is in trouble. Artemis at that jumped from the tree she was sitting. "Are you sure no one else can get your weapon?" She practically hissed. "I'm not like Father or our uncles. I don't want others touching my stuff," I said without skipping a beat. "Then I will go, and so will my hunters. If Mother is truly in trouble, then I will vanquish whoever dared to harm her," Artemis said, flaring her power around in anger. "Then let's make haste." I nodded, teleporting to Mother, with Artemis and her hunters following back. "Mother!" I shouted as I appeared in her house, worried whatever reason she had for summoning my bow had kidnapped her, or worse, temporarily killed her. "Mother! Mother!" Artemis said, her bow ready as she appeared in the living room with her hunters aiming at every single possible angle. "What?" Mother said, walking out of the kitchen with a worried face. "Why are you two shouting? I thought you were in trouble." I muttered, but if she was fine, then why did she summon my bow? "You said she summoned your bow," Artemis stated angrily. "Is this your idea of a prank?" "I didn't summon your bow," Mother said, speaking the truth. "Impossible. No one else but me, Artemis, and you can summon it," I muttered as rage started to grow inside of me. Whoever had dared to steal my weapon would pay 1,000 deaths for this unforgivable sin. I made an enchantment with Hecate that only the children of Leto and Leto herself would be able to summon my bow, and that's just the three of us. Maybe it was the idiot of R. Before I was able to finish that sentence, Mother gasped. "I know who summoned your weapon," Mother said, once again speaking the truth. "Then tell us, so that my hunters get a new target," Artemis said with a wicked smile. "It was your little brother," Mother said with tears in her eyes, shocking not only me but everyone present. "After killing the monsters that were chasing me, with a single arrow and a majestic explosion of light, it became more than clear to me that this weapon was not a normal one. It had too much power to be one, and considering that I could not create divine godly materials with my magic, the answer was clear. I had most likely stolen the weapon from a god with my spell without actually wanting to so, which worried me. After all, the gods were not known for their benevolence, but for their wrath, and I wanted nothing to do with an enraged god. Knowing the consequences of stealing the weapon of a god, I immediately decided to return it, not without leaving a little note on the weapon. "Nruder, I no pa ot sti rinwo." As soon as those words left my mouth, the weapon disappeared out of sight. Thank the Lord, whoever I stole that weapon is not hunting me. I chuckled as I inwardly wondered if that bow belonged to Artemis or Apollo. Besides them, I didn't know any other gods using the bow as their weapon besides my new mother, that is. With the weapon out of my hands and back to its owner, I decided to return to my comfy sewer shelter to take a nice and long rest. The day had been quite long and full of adventure, and had ended with me stealing the weapon from a god and killing 3 walking nightmares. So after this, I well deserved a freaking nap. For tomorrow, I would see what to do against those monsters trying to dip me in ranch sauce without having to steal anything from the gods. Though maybe stealing was the right option, just not from the gods. They weren't the only ones with weapons to kill monsters. I had other possible targets, like the demigods. If I stole the weapons from the Half-Blood camp, I would have the power to defend myself against the monsters. In the end, stealing was the right call. I really hope nobody writes a book about me. The morals I am teaching are below anything. Oh well, not like I'm in a position to care about them anyway. But this plan was easier said than done. When I summoned the weapon, I had no power over the choice. The bow appeared without giving me any kind of selective power, which was somewhat problematic since I wanted to steal weapons that no one would miss, weapons without owners, to avoid their wrath. Although I also had a third option if I wanted to risk my freedom, that is, using a glamour charm to alter my form. I could change my physical appearance and voice, creating an illusion to the outside world, tricking everyone while keeping my real identity a secret for everyone, therefore granting some freedom to act out. I knew I could do this. I'd seen a spell for that in my magic book, so it was within my realm of possibilities. So maybe I could pretend to be an unclaimed child from one of the many horny gods in my pantheon, steal some weapons, and then peace out to never be seen. They would never look for me, but for the person I create in the illusion, meaning it would be the perfect con. But if I had seen any con movies and I have things will go as planned. Meh, fuck it. I will do it. I chuckled. After all, what was life without stepping out of your comfort zone? Apollo POV. I had a little brother, but how? I inquired in shock, while Artemis was still processing the information. I thought you said you didn't want any more kids after us. That was the case for a while, Mother nodded. I didn't plan for it. It just happened. The mission, the favor you asked, it was for him, wasn't it? Artemis asked, looking troubled. Yes, Mother nodded with a sad expression. I wanted nothing more than to have him with me, to nurture him, but the stupid rules didn't allow me to have my own child with me. Tears running down her face at this point. I'm sorry, Mother, Artemis said with shame on her voice. I did not look for him as hard as I could have. I have failed you. No point of worrying about that. He's alive. My weapon disappearing shows that. I stated as my bow fell from out of nowhere to the floor. It seems he found a way to send it back. That would suggest he has magic. One thing is to summon a weapon, and another is to send it back, Artemis said with a thoughtful look. Oh, look, it has a note. I chuckled, grabbing the bow and quiver as I read the note. Dear Apollo, or Artemis, or Leto, aka Mom. I think those are all the godly figures that use a bow. I'm not really sure. Anywho, dear owner of this weapon, please do not make your new mission in life to smite me. I took this in a moment of utmost urgency, without having time to realize this belonged to someone, ATT, Adam Aragon. P.D. If you're going to hunt me, give me a head start. We all know I'm going to need it. PDD, you all owe me a bunch of birthday presents. One of them could be not hunting me, just saying. Well, he seems to know his Greek history somewhat, Artemis said, hiding a little smile on the corner of her face. So it's safe to assume he knows he's a demigod. Ha! I laughed. How can I be mad with an apology like this? He knows I'm his mother, Mother muttered in disbelief, and he doesn't sound mad about abandoning him as most demigods would. He is our brother, which means he's not an idiot. He probably knows why, Artemis stated. Oh, is that pride in someone else I am seeing, little sis? I laughed. Who would have guessed? Artemis feeling proud in a male. The end of times must be near. I am not, Artemis hissed. God of truth, I can tell you are lying, I sang as she started to shoot arrows at me. Please, I beg of you, take him to the camp. The more time he stays out there, the more monsters will go after him, Mother begged, stopping Artemis from shooting any more arrows. We will, both me and Artemis said at the same time. After returning to the sewer, I became aware of something very troubling. What if the god I stole the weapon from was able to track where I used said weapon? That would be less than ideal. Okay, time to move. I sighed, knowing full well that was the right call, as I grabbed my only valuable possession, my magic book, before leaving. I looked at the place that had been my home for months, and taking a deep breath, I went over the list of reasons to why I was running away from here for one I had. No idea if the god I stole the weapon from would actually be okay with my mistake and forgive me. And even if they were, they would probably just take to that camp. I don't want to go to that camp. Well, now I did, but not for the same reasons most go. And two, who am I kidding? There's no two. I just want to travel. You can't blame the ex-sick guy that has been living on a sewer for that. All right, but before I go, let me put some glitter bombs in here. I laughed like I had become the Joker just there. Was I playing with fire? Maybe if the gods were actually chasing me, they would surely encounter my magical glitter bombs. And while harmless, this would surely anger them. But if they were coming for me in the first place, they were already angry. So I might as well go out with the satisfaction of pranking deities. All right, the place is full of magical glitter bombs. I laughed. Time to skedaddle. As I ran through the sewage system, I began to think about where I would reside now that I'd lost my home, and immediately New York sounded like an obvious choice for me, right now, to pursue my current goals, stealing from the camp. So, considering that the camp was located somewhere near that state, it was the best option. I wonder if the sewages in New York are comfy. I do have a basic standard I must keep. I laughed, wondering along the way if I could find a way to hide my godly smell with magic. If so, things would severely improve for me. Maybe I could enchant myself to smell like shit? No, but it's a start. I'm sure I will figure it out. Right now, I have to somehow get to New York on foot. Or maybe magic is once again the answer. I did make a random bow appear, which is technically teletransportation, and there is no indicator. I can't do the same with myself. Meh, it's worth a shot. Troplet 1. Croy. A funny thing about made-up spells is that they can backfire terribly, depending on how much of an idiot you are. Allow me to illuminate your mind, see? When casting a spell with mnemonic incantation, a single thought can change the result of the spell. For example, when I made the spell to teleport me to New York, I had singular thought in my mind, go to the sewages in New York, now. Here is where it lies the problem. I have not seen the sewages of New York, ever. So instead of teleporting to where I wanted, or in a better case, exploding in my face, I was in the middle of a kitchen with a very familiar woman, Sally Jackson. Now, many might be wondering, how in the fuck is this possible? Well, with my luck, I doubt anyone is wondering. But anywho, allow me to explain. When a spell can't form the first thought you have, because you either lack information about something in particular or something else to, well, cast the damn spell, the motherfucker uses the next best thing in your mind, in the case the Jackson's apartment, which in contrast to the sewers of New York, I knew how it looked and where it was located. But Adam, how is that possible? If that was the case, you would have teleported inside the demigod camp, right? I mean, after all, the information you have about this universe is from the books, and most of the time the characters are in there. If you said that or thought about it, well, right you are. I probably know more about the demigod camp and its layout than what I know about this apartment. But the spell also takes into consideration things like I would rather watch The Terminator in French 10 times than go there, so this was the next best place inside my head. Anywho, back to the real world. I know what you're thinking, and the answer might surprise you. I smiled at the shocked woman. Please do not pray to any god about this. I will give you a cookie. Yes, fall for the cookie. Who are you? Sally inquired, not moving an inch. A dream? I answered with a shrug, getting a look that said, really? From Sally. Fine, I'm like your son. It's not his time, is it? Sally asked, feeling sad. Wait, how in the fuck do I know how this lady is feeling? No. I shook my head. I was just running from going there, so don't worry, I don't plan on taking the living sushi roll to the camp. Happy sushi roll, Sally snorted. Once again, I could tell how she felt. Great, some get the power to throw literal lightning, and I get the power of 2 human eyes. Oh well, why are you running from the camp? It's supposed to be the safest place in the world for kids like you. Worried. I know, but I enjoy my freedom. I chuckled. Living in the sewers can be quite comfy once you kill all the rats and roaches, but after that, it's just a place that smells like shit, like any college dorm. Worried. I can't let you live in the sewage. I think I can fix you up a bed with my son. Such a nice lady, but why would I ever stay in a place where one of the big 3 has eyes on? Haha. Nope. This place is a one-way ticket to camp. Laugh Peels one, I said, putting the nice lady to sleep. It was sweet of her to try and help me, but I'm okay. All right, let's see if I can find something to erase her memory in my book. After putting the woman to sleep, I decided to do something nice for her. It was a way to apologize for knocking her out cold with my magic. I would compel her husband to be a puppet of sorts. It was both a gift for her and a punishment for Gabe Ugliano. Besides, it's not like the guy survived. She ends up killing him, or rather petrifying him with Medusa's head, and after that she sells him to a museum. So, for now, at least, I will help her out, just because I can. A call 1. With a spell, I woke up Sally, who looked at me in shock. Sorry for the sleeping spell, but I really could be close to your son. I will get caught. Worried, but no child should live on the streets. Sally lamented in tears. Seriously, this woman is too good for her own good. Now, the reason I woke you up is the next. I sighed. I want to brainwash your husband. Happy worried, brainwash Gabe. Sally gasped as I inwardly chuckled. Perhaps this emotion-feeling power is not that bad. I don't think I can turn him into a puppet, but I can force him to not do stuff like hitting you, or sleeping with you, or hitting Percy. I answered, was I feeling bad for the prospect of using magic to take away the free will of a man? No, this man was maybe worse than the monsters hunting me. And if it wasn't for Percy, who was an innocent kid, I would have killed him just because I could. If you want, that at least would make your life less miserable. Happy, I accept. Sally nodded. All right, I smiled. Worried, there must be something I can do for you. Sally added, I will be okay. Thanks anyway, I smiled. Worried, sad, very well, Sally conceded with a sad look. With that out of the way, I opened my book, going through the pages to find something to brainwash the turd living with the Jacksons, AHA. Oh wait, this is a lockup spell. The lockup spell would put non-magical creatures inside a magical loop, where they would only repeat the same actions forever, meaning the spell only worked on humans, which was good enough for the turd. Meh, this will work. Curious happy lockup? Sally inquired. It will put Gabe on a loop of actions forever stuck in time. I replied, so how often does he take a bath? And how often does he eat? I want to know so that I could force him to do those things right now and set up the loop. Disgusted, worried, once every 3 months, only with water and 5 or 6 times a day. Holy shit, the guy takes 4 baths a year. No wonder monsters don't come near him. He must smell worse than the sewers. Just the thought of his smell was enough to shake me, and I lived in a sewer, so? Anywho, where is the man of the year? I asked. Excited, disgusted. He went to buy drinks, Sally answered. Very well, I nodded. As if I had summoned him, an abysmal stench came from the apartment door to the kitchen like a summer breeze, entering my nose, unannounced. The smell was so strong, it almost made me vomit. How could a woman, or anyone for that matter, sleep with that? There was no doubt that smell was Gabe, and the worst thing is that he had yet to open the door, meaning whatever I was feeling was just the tip of the iceberg. Holy mother of me. I gagged, holding the puke in. There was no way I would be able to cast a spell if shit continued like that. Ikat yawa ym esnes fo lems. Finally, I was able to breathe without wanting to kill myself. I hold you in a fucking pedestal, right you, to think you. Disgusted, that's Gabe all right, Sally muttered, her tone going unusually low. All right, time to act. I sighed if I felt bad before, which I didn't. I felt like a superhero now. This guy was the most disgusting thing I have ever smelled in my life. Woman, Sally, come get the beers now. Gabe shouted, and Sally looked at me. I shook my head off. I walked out of the kitchen, straight to the door, and looked at Gabe. Oh gee, it catatize. I ordered him to take a shit, and like an obedient dog, he did as he was told. Once he was done, I ordered, Nailkrui. This time I ordered him to clean his ass. Once he was done, I ordered the next thing, Te Secnal Nighties. This time I forced him to eat 3 lunches in one go. And for my last, Peels no 8 Kaok Litnawoy Eva Ot Taper Esot Sridro Wuramat Emazimit. Once again he did as he was told, and went to the coach to sleep, and would not wake up until it was time to repeat his loop. Now it was time to lock him up on it. Colonai Zirf Eru emit Smees Ot Pills Illenreet Era, Illenreet Aret, I dynamic woy Ot Revin Ebi Erawa. As soon as those words left my mouth, the man known as Gabe was stuck in a loop, forever trapped in time, eternally here but never around. The spell quite literally meant that lock in a freeze where time seems to slip. Eternally here, eternally there. I command you to never be aware, quite a terrifying chant, but one that served its purpose. Hopeful, is it done? Sally asked. I nodded. It is. Now I must go. Just remember to have his food and bath empty always at the same time. As for the showering part, just get creative, I chuckled. Euphoric grateful before I managed to get to the door. Sally tackled me into a hug. Thanks for everything. If you ever need a shelter, my house is open. Thanks, but I won't need it. I chuckled as I opened the door, immediately feeling a surge of power that shocked me. Right in front of me stood a woman, looking to be around 16 to 19 years old, but I knew that to be a lie. Deep down I knew. Angry, amused, happy, yes, you won't, the unknown woman said, her silvery yellow eyes glaring at me like daggers trying to carve me a new asshole. And I couldn't help but inwardly say fuck as I saw her auburn hair was covered in pink magical glitter. my magical glitter. Fuck. There was no doubt that the one standing in front of me was no other than Artemis, the goddess of the hunt. Behind her was a man that emanated equally strong power, with golden hair and tanned skin, and with his body and clothes also covered in glitter. The man I could only assume was Apollo, looked at me and then asked, "How did you get to New York so quickly?" "The power of Christmas." I jested. Apollo looked at me, and with a smile, he said, "God of truth, try again. Answer, or suffer my wrath." Artemis growled. Knowing that since they had seen me, there was no escaping, I decided to at least save Percy from an early kidnapping. There is no reason for them to take both of us. I will answer all your questions. Not all. If you make sure my spell on that man will last forever, and if it won't, I don't know. Bless it. Sure. Apollo nodded and looked at the man for a second. There, I blessed your spell. It should last forever. All right. It was a pleasure, Sally. I smiled. Peels. Once again, I forced her to sleep. That's how I got here so fast, magic. I see. Artemis nodded. We will take you to the camp now. Not so fast, sis, Apollo interrupted. Let's take our little brother out. He deserves a nice day before going to the demigod boarding school. I could go for some pizza now. That is clear you two won't smite me. I chuckled. By the way, who was the owner of the bow? I asked him. It belongs to me, Apollo smiled. Very well, Artemis nodded. Let us eat, so that we can go back to the camp. Huh, who would have guessed? She doesn't hate me like she would with any other male. Family perks, I guess. The rest of the day of my last day as a free was spent with Artemis and Apollo, going from restaurant to restaurant. They even took me to an arcade. How archaic. But I had a good time considering that my freedom no longer existed. For now, besides, not everything was bad. I would soon get a cabin just for me. Being the only mortal son of Leto, I would stay in her cabin alone, which would give me more than enough time and space to plan my overly elaborated escape plan. And in the meantime, I would take advantage of Chiron's teachings to become a good fighter. So when the time for me to leave came, I would be Achilles 2.0. Thanks for the food, I smiled. I gotta treat my baby brother every now and then. Apollo chuckled, starting now. So, to the camp now. I inquired, getting a nod from both Artemis and Apollo. Say, what is the punishment for escaping the camp? Just curious. Death. Artemis answered with a grim tone. Alrighty. Note to self, be sure you can escape the gods if you get out of the camp. Seriously, little bro, don't try it. We can't protect you if other gods find out you tried to escape, Apollo said with a grim look on his face. Time to change the subject with this lie detector. Say, how is Mom's cabin? She doesn't have one, Artemis answered, but don't worry. One will appear for you. I will make sure of that. Thanks. So Leto doesn't have a cabin. Oh well, I have another question. How likely on a scale of 1 to 10 is your father likely to smite me? Just because... 8-3, Apollo hummed. He is always close to smite someone for anything. But if you're asking if he will have a personal problem with you just because of who your mother is, then no, he won't have a personal problem with you. So, as long as you don't do anything to enrage him. Got it. I nodded. And what about his wife? I read what she did to Mother, so I can only imagine what she would do to me. You two are untouchable being gods and all. Me not so much. If you don't come out of Father's seed, she won't do anything. Besides that, she hates demigods equally, Artemis answered. One last question. I chuckled. When will Mother claim me? Once you are inside the camp, both Apollo and Artemis said at the same time. Very well, I sighed. I'm ready. With a flashing glow, I was transported from the city to the camp, where I would be locked up until 1. I died, or 2 I escaped, blinking away the light. The first thing I noticed was that there was a very familiar centaur in front of me. Chiron. Lady Artemis, Chiron said, kneeling in reverence as soon as she saw her. And noticing the lack of Lord Apollo and that greeting Apollo wasn't here anymore, what can I do for you today? I have found this demigod around. Artemis pointed out, he is my little brother. Mother will soon claim him. A son of Leto, Chiron said in shock. Yo, I waved at him. I apologize, my lady. But where do you want me to put him? Chiron inquired. We don't have a cabin for Leto. Let me worry about that. For now, let him sleep on Apollo's cabin, Artemis ordered. I must ask, is Lord Apollo aware of this? Chiron asked. Yes, he is. Artemis glared at him. All right, thanks for the ride, sister, I smiled. I will come back after I fix the cabin problem, Artemis stated. And in front of others is Lady Artemis. Duly noted. I nodded. I did not want to piss off the goddess that usually kills men for fun. I almost forgot. This is from Apollo and me, Artemis said, handing me a box before disappearing. And like the ever-curious guy, I opened the box, just to be blasted away with a powerful explosion of glitter. After the explosion ended, a note was left behind. Dear little bro, this won't come off for a month. With love, Apollo and Artemis. The first person I was introduced to at the camp after Chiron was a small and porky man who was no man at all. He emanated such power that it was clear he was a god, weaker than Artemis and Apollo, but strong enough to kill me. He had a red nose, big purple eyes that shine every now and then, and curly black hair. He kind of looked like a big baby, to be honest, and his name was Dionysus. That's Mr. D or Lord Dionysus, Chiron said, introducing me to the god with a worried tone. He's the camp director and protector of these lands. He is a god, prone to anger, activating the I don't want to die mode. A pleasure to meet your Lord Dionysus. Or, you prefer Mr. D? I said, bowing in respect. Or is it fear? Nah, it's more like self-preservation right now. A demigod with manners. Dionysus snorted with mild amusement and clear annoyance. It must be the end of days then. And, I don't care, kid. Just don't touch my stuff, and you will be okay. As you wish, I nodded. Thank you for your time, Lord Dionysus. Chiron smiled, somewhat relieved about the interaction. Seconds later, we continued our tour. He then turned his attention to me and said, one of our campers will show you around. I have stuff to take care of. Cool. I smiled as I tried to figure out how the hell was he able to be here. And in Percy's school at the same time, is Chiron able to exist in multiple places at the same time like the gods? Annabeth, come here. Chiron happily called a 12-year-old girl, the one who Percy would fall in love with. She came forward and Chiron introduced us. Adam, this is Annabeth Chase, daughter of Athena. Annabeth, my dear, why don't you show Adam around? And if you have the time, go and check on Adam's bunk. We'll be putting him in cabin 7 for now. Cabin 7? For now. Annabeth inquired, clearly confused. Worried, Lady Artemis is fixing that for now. He is son of Leto, Chiron clarified, and about his head some Greek letter floated saying worried. Was up with that? Which means the close thing to cabins he has right now are cabin 7 and 8, but cabin 8 has a strict rule of no males inside. Intrigued, I see. Annabeth nodded, and once again the emotional spectrum floated above them. From what I could tell, she was older than me, not by much, being a couple of inches taller, looked like she went to the gym every day, like for real. No 12-year-old should have a six-pack, is disturbing. Her skin had a deep tan, and her curly blonde hair resembled Apollo. If I didn't know about this universe, I would have guessed she was a daughter of Apollo. Sup, I waved at her and suddenly realized I was but an 11-year-old kid. Never thought about that before, with being on the sewers and stuff, but the truth was I was just a kid with power. Cool ones at that, but a kid. It wasn't necessarily bad, but I just never thought of that before. Follow me, Annabeth ordered in a cold tone, as she guided me to cabin 7. As I walked, I felt like one of those people that moved to small towns, you know, those places where everyone knows everyone, and that when someone new moves and the gossip spread like cancer on Chernobyl tourist trip. Well, I felt like that. Every single demigod was staring at me, some with curiosity, others with excitement, and some with anger. The heck did I do to get enemies so fast? Must be because I look dashing. Haha. But in all seriousness, I have no idea how people can already have negative feelings about me. I literally have 10 minutes here. I have a question that has been bothering me since I saw you, Annabeth said, stopping in her tracks. Why are you covered in glitter? I snorted. Oh well, this is the beginning of a war, you see. I might have Glitter Bomb, my brother, aka Apollo, and my sister, aka Artemis, and what you see is the result of their godly revenge. Magical glitter of the cursed kind, meaning no magic or water, would remove until the time passed. A month. I am pretty sure people here will be calling me Glitter Boy by the end of the week. Pranking the gods is like playing with fire. You are bound to be burned, Annabeth warned, but I could see on her eyes she longed for that with her mother. I'll have that in mind. Thanks, while I plan my revenge. I stood in front of the cabin, looking at the sign with curiosity, a liar, and here I thought his symbol of power was a bow. But how exactly do you use a lyre in combat? Do you bore your enemies to death with it? Or is it more along the lines of serenading them to the point they are no longer your enemies, but your lovers? You know what option B sounds like something the horn dogs of Olympus would do. Well, Annabeth prompted. Go on. If you're in a hurry, you're free to leave. I smiled, feeling a bit annoyed myself. Her mood swings were getting on my nerves. Seriously, can you decide? Are you angry, curious, sad, or what? Welcome, brother, a random guy said, hugging me with a wide smile on his face. Not your brother. I chuckled. Confused, then? I'm confused, the guy chuckled, and the letters appeared again. Why was this so intermittent? He's your uncle, Annabeth snorted. That's right, I nodded. I'm the son of Leto. As soon as I said that, I felt something different in me, or rather something changing, as if Leto was right here with me holding me. The feeling was almost nostalgic. It was strange. As this feeling spread, a symbol of Mother Wolf appeared over my head and the howling of several wolves in the distance. Before I was able to fully appreciate the symbol, it disappeared as a feeling of calm and comfort washes over me. I had been claimed just like that. Neat, we have an uncle, a kid in the back said. Does that mean he has to clean for all of us? You know, being the uncle, and the camp wasn't as awful as I had expected. Yes, I know I lost my freedom, but I have certain advantages by being here. For one, I receive daily combat training. Two, the food is delicious. It appears out of nowhere if you are in the dining hall. All you have to do is think about what you want to eat, and the magic of the hall does the rest. And three, I have a small cabin to myself that Artemis and Apollo had commissioned for me. It was smaller than any other cabin, but I didn't have to share it with anyone, so I technically had the biggest room in the camp. As for the people in the camp, well, some were nice, like Siren. He was a very interesting fellow, always happy to help and teach others, which is surprising considering he's been doing this job for thousands of years. I can't imagine a teacher working for that amount of time without hating his job in the end. Angry, would you look at that? The letters are pointing out the obvious. Testosterona is angry. Hello. Gooder boy, a husky and annoying voice yelled at me as I read a book I had borrowed. All right, stolen from Hecate's kids. I was going to give it back, eventually. What you do want, Clarice, I sighed. Closing the book, I had charmed to look differently to avoid the children of Hecate finding it. What can I say? I want to study their magic. Show more respect with me, newbie. Clarice demanded. God, the amount of testosterone in this girl is baffling. I would if I could, I smirked. But alas, I can't, sad. Annoying her had become a newfound hobby of mine. What can I say? She was a bully and I adored messing with bullies. Even as a sick kid, I annoyed them, which was the reason why her cabin had been in an unfortunate streak of bad luck since I got here, which was what Siren said, trying to keep the cabins in peace. But in reality, it was me, summoning frogs, worms, or burning their clothes. And as a child of Leto, no one suspected of me, and they never would. I did not want anyone knowing I could use magic, and if my almighty siblings hadn't told Siren, why would I? Super angry, super angry. Well, that's a new emotion. That's fucking it. Clarice exploded, running towards me. She was so easy to annoy. I almost felt bad by doing so. No, scratch that, it's fun. CO's deet, I whispered, tying her shoes one to another, making her fall face first to the mud I had conveniently created minutes earlier. Why do you ask? Well, I am a man of preparation, so I prepared in advance in the event of someone bothering me, and the result was magnificent. Inadnu, I whispered, this time undoing my shoe spell. What in the? Clarice muttered. Well, you seem busy, I smiled, pointing to the mud. Enjoy whatever it is you are doing. Nothing like a good prank to lighten my mood. As I was walking to my cabin, Annabeth came up to me and with a serious look on her face said, you know she's going to want to kill you if you keep doing that? She was giving me the SUS look. What? I laughed innocently. It's not my fault that she falls in humiliating places which are perfectly positioned every time she tries to attack me. It's just a pure coincidence. I'm Athena's daughter. That answer might work for you with others, but not with me, Annabeth remarked, looking at me with narrowed eyes. Well, then solve the mystery. I winked at her. I ain't telling anyone anything. I like being mysterious. It helps with the ladies. I chuckled. Yeah, right? Annabeth snorted. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have things to do. I waved at her with a cheeky smile on my face as I entered my lovely unofficial cabin, leaving an annoyed and intrigued daughter of Athena to wonder how I do what I do. Life is fun around here. And while messing with these kids was fun and all, I had things to do, like planning my great daring escape, with over-the-top antics and unnecessary twists. But don't worry, I also had rational plans like Plan 1, befriending Percy as soon as he gets here so that he takes me on his quest. During said quest, I could pretend to die, and subsequently hide from the might of the gods for a while. Plan 2, wait for Luke to betray the gods and escape during the commotion. And Plan 3, my personal favorite, do something so unbelievable stupid in terms of heroism that the gods would have no other choice but to offer me immortality. I had more plans like try to save Talia, winning Zeus's favor using it to gain my freedom, but my magic was nowhere near that level yet. I knew it, so for now, I was going to play it safe. But none of those options were for the immediate future. For now, I liked it here. I had food, training, and people to talk to, and more importantly, a source of knowledge about myself. For now, I would enjoy this, but that didn't mean I wasn't going to plan. It just meant I was going to wait for the right moment to leave. There was no rush. I still had plenty of time. For now, I was safe here, and I would learn. Like, for example, I discovered the magic the children of Hecate use is systematically different than mine. They speak in Latin or Greek, and they don't do it backward, which shows their incantations are considerably easier. But what interested me the most was they had one spell to block the smell of monster, or at least hinder their ability to track us. Too bad it wasn't in the book I borrowed for an indefinite amount of time, without their permission. But I was optimistic it would be in the next book I was going to borrow. It's been a month since I first arrived at the camp, and I have found along my way certain difficulties in my path for self-improvement. For example, apparently, I suck at hand-to-hand combat. I'm not the worst in the camp, but I'm certainly not the best. Luke, Clarice, and Annabeth are constantly kick my ass in practice, and Clarice seems to enjoy it, and then people wonder why she falls into the mud 10 times a day. Oh well. Most kids would laugh at me, expecting me to be mad, but I wasn't. I knew almost everyone here had an unfair advantage over me, which was called years of training under a hero maker, but not everything was bad for little Adam. Thanks to Hecate's children, I had learned a lot about Greek magic. By borrowing all their books, I have returned them, and I have learned something interesting. Greek magic was considerably easier, and at the same time more difficult than my own magic. And before you even ask, how can it be easier and harder at the same time? Well, the answer is in the following. Learning the theory of Greek magic is easy. The incantations are a breeze compared to the ones I usually use. But sometimes the rituals are too long for something I could do with my magic in a few seconds. So I guess the moral of the story is use whatever fits the situation. Meh, good enough. Are you going to join us in Capture the Flag today? Annabeth asked, snapping me out of my train of thought. Nope. I smiled. With my behavior, I had acquired a bunch of enemies. No, enemies is a harsh word. Angry acquaintances that one works better. Anywho, and by a bunch, I mean the entirety of Aries' cabin. So if I played that, they would all ignore capturing the flag to try and beat me up. And before anyone asks, I regret nothing. Are you really that scared of Clarice? Annabeth smirked. Weaponizing my pride. I chuckled. I respect your cunning, but I also hate you for it. I'm in. While I had my reason to avoid such games, it would be fun to troll them and capture the flag, but I would have to be careful as not to raise any suspicion. Great, I will sign you up. Annabeth smiled, running to put my name on the list before I had the chance to change my mind. You know, Annabeth thinks you are the one, right? Luke said as he approached me, holding a knife in his left hand. The one? Please elaborate. I inquired as I got ready for the game. There's a prophecy she heard from Siren that one day someone special would come to the camp, and with him or her, she would get out of the camp in a quest. Luke replied. Oh yeah, the prophecy, I see. I nodded. I don't think I am, though. I chuckled. Angry? Why is male boy angry? Don't worry about it, kid. Luke smiled, holding the knife too close for my liking. Annabeth thinks every new camper that comes through here is the omen she's been waiting for. And while you're truly different than the rest of us, you are not special. Huh. I'm starting to think there's a personal grudge under this conversation. You seem almost angry. I smiled as he held the knife a few inches from me. I can't help but wonder why. Why is it that you receive so much attention from the gods? Luke smiled back, devoid of emotion. You aren't good at fighting, nor you excel in any other category. And yet look at what you have, a gift from the gods, a cabin for yourself. Tell me. By this point, he was holding the knife at my throat. Sure, why not? The reason why is, I smiled with a small shrug, if Jim lifts up. As soon as those words left my mouth, Luke was pushed with tremendous force out of my personal bubble, flying a few meters away as trees stopped his body with a loud crash. Maybe I had put too much juice into that spell. Oh well, with a smile I walked towards him to help him stand up and check if I didn't do any permanent damage. And as I walked I could see the surprise in his eyes. So that's why you've been glaring at me every now and then. Look, I haven't seen my siblings in a while, not since they dropped me here. So let's get along, shall we? I didn't like people like him. He had so much to be grateful for, and yes, I could understand his point. Life as a demigod sucks, but he was being an ass to the wrong guy. Yes, his dad abandoned him. Sad for him, but he's just one of the millions that suffer the same thing. That shit happens to humans too. Demigods aren't the only ones with shitty dads. But I suppose he is free to hate the world. It's not my place to lecture him. The only reason I attacked him was because he held a knife on my throat. And yes, I knew he wasn't going to kill me, but the fact he put a knife so close to my face is despicable. Sorry, mail boy, but I don't take spam email. How did you do that? Luke asked. Oh, that. I chuckled. That is one of the demigod powers I inherited from my beloved yet absent mother. I can push people away with my mind. Too bad it only works once a day. I wonder if he was going to believe that. Or is it two? I can never remember the exact number. Usually, I don't need to push someone more than once. Luke stared at me for a second before bursting in a fit of laugh. Did you know the knife was dull, right? He said, showing me the knife. So that's why I didn't feel threatened by his proximity. Did you know I could have pushed you way harder? I snorted. Take care, kid. Luke stood up and walked away. What an interesting fellow. He is making it so easy to no care about him when the time to fight against him comes. Anywho, it's time to have so fun. I already filled my daily quota of accent for the day. I need some laughs, preferably of the Clarice falling face-first kind. At last, it was time for Capture the Flag, and I wasn't going to lie, I was excited. The general idea behind Capture the Flag was very fun. Now all I had to do was survive Clarice and her goons without people knowing too much about my powers. As I sat, reading a book I had enchanted to be with all the letters backward, campers yelled and cheered as Annabeth and two of her siblings ran into the pavilion carrying a silk banner. They really make a show out of it. This is going to be so fun. Our banner apparently was a barn owl above an olive tree. So we are fighting for Athena them. Maybe I control the flag if we win. We'll see. From the opposite side of the pavilion, Clarice, the massively aggressive, tall, and buff teenager, and her lapdogs ran in with another banner of identical size, but instead of a lovely owl, it had a bloody spear and a boar's head. Oh, maybe I can change their banner. That's even better. I turned to one of my nephews and asked, out of curiosity, does anyone ever dies in here? Yeah, I mean it's usually accidents. Oh, well, I suppose I will bring my C game. C game? My nephew inquired. Shouldn't it be your A game? Nah, Clarice is not worth the effort. Besides, even if she made me bring my A game, I would never tell her. I chuckled. I'm glad we have an uncle around here. My nephew, who is older than me, said between chuckles. I smiled. Well, I gotta go. I promised Godly I would help her. Goldie! Haha. Well, lead the way, uncle. I'm coming with you, my nephew smiled as he gave a playful punch to the shoulder. We've made a temporary alliance with Athena's cabin, just because of you. We can't have our only uncle dying on us, can we? I can almost feel the faith you have in me. I snorted. The teams were announced for everyone to hear. Athena's cabin had made an alliance with Apollo, one of the biggest cabins in terms of soldiers. Apparently, they had accepted to help just to avoid me getting badly hurt by the enraged bull. I mean Clarice. Aries' cabin, on the other, had a bunch of allies. Most of them were I don't want to say useless, but yeah, Dionysus's cabin, Demeter's cabin, Aphrodite's cabin, and Hephaestus's cabin. From what I'd seen since I got here, the children of Aphrodite were the weakest in that alliance, with Dionysus's cabin being the second best, having some decent athletes around my level in hand-to-hand combat. So, maybe not so decent, and above me in armed combat. But there were only 2 demigods there, which made them weak in numbers. As for the others, well, none of them posed much of a challenge in combat. Except, of course, for Aries' cabin, which had a dozen of the biggest, ugliest, and deodorant haters in this camp. They could weaponize their armpits, I swear. Chiron hammered his hoof on the marble. Heroes, he announced. You know the rules. The creek is the boundary line. The entire forest is fair game. All magic items are allowed. The banner must be prominently displayed and have no more than 2 guards. Prisoners may be disarmed, but may not be bound or gagged. No killing or maiming is allowed. I will serve as a referee and battlefield medic. Arm yourselves. I had 2 questions. 1, the fuck is the creek? And 2, did he say all magic items are allowed? Mwahaha. I will thoroughly enjoy this. I wonder if Clarice will like to be permanently bald. Anywho, I'll think about her punishment as I go. Right now it's time to get ready. I need 1 sword, 1 bow, 1 quiver, 1 beach chair, and 2 liters of Coke. Pepsi if I can't find Coke. So, let me see if I get this straight. You asked me to join your team. I asked Annabeth, who nodded in answer, and my only duty is to stay guarding this flag. I pointed to the flag, and she nodded. Awesome, I said, putting up my beach chair, which in turn confused the heck out of Annabeth. Ow! Annabeth asked in shock, pointing at the chair. Annabeth, I had a feeling you would use me as a bait, and I plan to enjoy said job. So Tata, go, and do your thing, child of Athena, while I enjoy a cold Pepsi and wait for Clarice. I smiled, sitting on my comfortable chair with a frown on my face. I was still mad I had not found Coke, but I suppose for now Pepsi will do for now. This arc, Annabeth sighed in defeat. She knew I was impossible to deal with. She had come to learn about that the first 2 weeks of camp. Fine, but stay here. I brought a book. I ain't moving. I shot back with a smile. Many are probably wondering, Adam, are you stupid? You have a 6-foot-tall teenage girl fueled on testosterone that wants to kill you. And yet, you're chilling on a beach chair with a Greek book about economics that you will clearly pretend to read. Will allow this young demigod to clear some misconceptions. You see, when I accepted to join this game, I had in mind using my magic to defend myself, but doing so while hiding it was hard. So I came with a solution, putting traps everywhere. See, in the hour Chiron gave us to get ready after his little speech, I tagged all my teammates with a magical signature without their explicit consent. I know you usually have to get consent for everything, but for this, it was either that or falling into a pit full of magic-infused mosquitoes, or getting a hair-erasing explosion. So I took the liberty of saving them from that. You see, my traps only work with those that do not have my magical signature, which means my team was safe, but Clarice and her allies would have to deal with stupid non-lethal, but probably mentally scarring traps. There's one trap where the victim will be forced to see a documentary about Helvetica, the writing font. It's an 8-hour documentary. I dare anyone to find a bigger waste of time than that. Anywho, the point, there was almost a 0% chance of Clarice getting to me. I had hundreds of stupid traps around. With the whistle of Chiron, the game began, and one by one, everyone began to fall into my traps. Nothing lethal, but really annoying. After an hour of screaming confusion, I felt something coming closer and closer. All of a sudden, 3 of Aries' children came yelling and screaming out of the forest, looking rather dashing. Clarice had half her hair cut off, and the other half was painted in pink with a massive and unnecessary amount of glitter decorating what was left of it. Her eyebrows were all gone, and she had a fake mustache and unicorn stickers stuck to her face with super glue. Ah, I love a good prank. Time to use my weird emotion thingy that sometimes points what a normal set of eyes can. Now that I think that out loud. Sounds useless. Looking fine, Clarice. I chuckled, closing the book I was pretending to read. Angry, get the punk. Clarice screamed, putting on her helmet while pointing at me. All right, it seems we can't have a civil conversation. I sighed, kicking the beach chair out of the way. Too bad. I had many jokes about your current appearance. Her eyes glared through the slits of her helmet in anger. Boy, she was angry. On her hand, she was wielding a 5-foot-long spear that looked rather threatening, with the tip flickering with a red and mysterious light. Maybe it was a gift from her dad, considering her siblings only had the standard-issue bronze swords, while she held something clearly more powerful. Now it's time to show you my true power. I smiled, looking as threatening as possible, making them somewhat wary, and, with a battle cry, I threw the book I was pretending to read at her and skedaddle out of there into the river nearby. I knew my limitations. 3 against 1 without my magic, I was toast. Heck, 1-on-1 against her without magic, I was toast. I had a gift for magic and archery, but I was average right now in the skills she excelled at, so it was time to improvise. Seeing this, she growled, as she and her brothers ran after me. Feeling something approaching at me in the air, I ducked and managed to dodge her flying spear that lodged itself in the water, and even though I had clearly dodged the throw, I felt a painful tingling all over my body. Interesting. My hair stood on end, my limbs went numb. Fuck. Electricity. Her spear was electric. I should have read the books with more detail. While my body was shaking in pain from the electricity being forced in my body, one of Clarice's brothers kicked me out of the water, not to save me from my pain, but, well, he had accomplished that indirectly. They really lack in the brain department. They could have beat me to a pulp right there, but alas, they were too busy laughing maniacally. Siren said, no killing and no maiming, but he didn't say anything about breaking every bone in your body. Let's see how you enjoy being a cripple, Clarice said in delight, as she turned to her brothers. Grab him. I will start with his fingers. All right, this went from 0 to 1,000 in less than a second. All right, you seem to have some anger management problems, so let's stop this before someone actually gets hurt. I wanted to keep my magic secret, but if I had to reveal my power to defend myself, I would. Oh, wow. Clarice snorted in amusement. I'm scared of this guy. Really scared. I will give you one more chance to leave this as it is. The flag is that way. I told her I normally don't get angry, but the fact she wanted to cripple me for life really touched a nerve, but even then I was going to give her one more chance to get out of here unscathed. We don't want the flag. One of her brothers snorted. We want to beat you up. I don't know how, but you have been pranking us since you arrived here. It's time to pay with blood. I want you to remember, I gave you 3 a way out, I told them. Forget about the breaking his bones part. Clarice laughed in anger. Let's maim him. So you will break the rules. I chuckled bitterly. They nodded as one said, seeing you as an armless, legless monstrosity will make losing my dessert privilege worth it. So be it. I smiled as looked at them, taking a few steps back to end it all in one single shot. I hope you like being electrocuted. Otherwise, blame karma. She's a bitch, I told them. Nidnuoser hwart 8 ria. Tai 8 rewap dine thgim. 8 rarer a folk rednut. Egnult morph 8 sneva DNA spar neutkurtst. Leaf Steve gimmed in it sat 8 nigger rednut. As soon as I said those words, a large bolt of lightning descended upon my target from the air, striking Clarice and her brothers down too. The ground out cold. Good thing I still lacked the juice to fry them up, considering how angry I was a few seconds ago. Things would have turned out for the worse. One the name of Zeus was that. Siren muttered in disbelief, running from out of the woods towards the injured campers in shock. How can you control the thunder? If you are a son of Leto, with the power of Christmas or friendship, one of the two, I smiled innocently. Yeah, I knew after this my powers were out in the open, but that doesn't mean I can't mess with Siren for a bit. I knew you had something under your sleeve, but this was out of my calculations. Annabeth as she ran towards me with the enemy's flag, looking somewhat disappointed. You could have killed them. Oh, stuff it, wise girl. They wanted to maim me. Oh well, I suppose it's time to fix my mess. Dear brother Apollo, if you hear my prayer, please heal the campers I injured. I know you are the god of healing, so help me out here. And before you ask, yes, they deserve some of the pain I delivered, but I might have gone over the top with how much punishment they could take. And by the way, can you get me a TV? And some games? The camp gets boring at times. With love, Adam. They are healing, Luke said in shock. Is this also your doing? I asked my brother for help, and he answered. I shrugged. They only partially healed. It seems Lord Apollo wants to leave them with some of the pain, Siren stated, as he handed me a note. Dear little brother, Don't worry, I will help you out, but considering they tried to maim you for something as harmless as a few pranks, I will only heal 50% of the damage you rightfully gave them, and I will curse them to stay in that painful state for a month with no healing to soothe their pain and no medicine to calm their minds. How dare they, if I had it my way? They would be dead. Anywho, about the game console and TV, what are you into? Nintendo, Xbox, or PS? All of them. And in that matter, what games you think my children would like to play with you? Waiting for your response, your incredibly awesome and handsome big brother, Apollo. I want Call of Duty, one of my nephews said from over my shoulder. Mario Party. I was grounded on the grounds. I had used lethal force against Clarice and her brothers. But it wasn't so bad. I just got some extra chores which weren't so bad, and so my dessert privileges were canceled for a month. Needless to say, Siren and Mr. D interrogated me about things like, how can you control the thunder? How does your power work? Etc., etc. And while I tried very hard not to give away too much, they were getting angry after 3 hours of me trolling them with very evasive answers. Anywho, after they discovered my power was magic, they grew concerned about me. How can a child of Leto, the titanis of motherhood, have a child whose magic powers outshine the children of Hecate, the goddess of magic? But all things considered, the results were better than I had anticipated. Not only the children of Aries now feared me, but I also had a new TV and 3 video game consoles with all the games available for each console in the market. Apollo had decided it was best just to have variety, as he said on his last note. I just went ahead and bought you all the games I could find. So you have every single one of them. Now have some fun. Before I forget, in other news, you made my day-to-day at the council. You should have seen Aries. He was fuming. He was angrier than usual for what you did to his daughter. Oh boy, how I love seeing him like that. And don't worry, he is not a hands-on dad. He will forget about this tomorrow, so he will not bother you. But if he does, just tell him Apollo will release the wing package. He will know what that means. Anyhow, enjoy the games. In the end, everything ended well. As a proof here, I am destroying Apollo's cabin in a Mortal Kombat tournament where I still was undefeated, while wondering what the fuck was the wing package. All I knew it was that the wing package felt like some kind of blackmail Apollo had on Aries. Adam, Chiron said as he entered the cabin, come with me. I fixed my eyes on Chiron for a moment before handing one of my nephews the controller. Lead the way, wondering what he wanted to talk about. Surely it can't be about Clarice. We already talked about that for hours. The Oracle has summoned you, Chiron muttered, with a dark tone. I have a quest, don't I? I have a quest. I asked just to confirm. Yes, but she will tell you more about it. Chiron nodded, leading me to where the Oracle resided, and it was almost ominous the energy I was feeling, as if death was leaking from the building. All right, I sighed, entering the place. And it was like I had entered the set of a horror movie. There were skulls hanging on the walls, and the smell of death was strong. I could feel my own heart beating in anticipation, wondering where the fuck was the Oracle. Eventually, in my search for the Oracle, I found myself in front of a decaying corpse. You have a mission, the corpse muttered, coming to life in a very Walking Dead style. For the love of, I don't know, pick your god, I said, jumping back. In retrospect, it was my fault for standing too close to it. I almost slapped the skull out of you. I need some air. I am sorry. I am usually more amiable, but I did not expect you to move or be alive for that matter, I said as I took a few relaxing and calming seconds before continuing with my very own Resident Evil story. All right, what is the quest? As soon as I asked, a vision forcibly appeared in my mind, showing me various images and very descriptive feelings about my quest. I had to go to the Sirens Island to recover a lost tome of something and die. Is that all, Lady Oracle? I asked, shocked. Was I destined to die? Thank you for your offering. Have a nice day, the Oracle said, waving her decrepit hand. I didn't know how, but in the vision I felt my body collapse in pain. I felt the agony, the despair. No, I have to focus. I won't allow a Walking Dead extra to tell me what will happen in my life. Destiny is bendable, and I'll be damned if I let him maybe fuck my life. What did the Oracle tell you? Chiron asked as I left the house. Tomb? Cave? The building. As I left the building, I have to recover a random book that is located on the Sirens Island, and apparently die in the process. I answered as if I was going to die. I will nuke those sirens before they start singing under the sea. But don't worry, I don't plan on dying, I added with a smile, seeing the worried expression that Chiron had on his face. Worried? Tell me, did you see your own death? Chiron asked. No, but I felt it. I answered, but don't worry, mate. Those singing sushi rolls will not stop me. Concerned, good, because your death, it's not certain. Feeling it and seeing it are two different things, so do what you must, but you have to change that uncertainty, Chiron stated. Was planning to. I chuckled. You now have to choose your 2 willing members of the camp to accompany you, if you wish. Nope, I'd rather go alone. In the lamentable case I do end up kicking the bucket. I do not want to take the entire group with me down, considering many of them will be essential to stop Kronos and Gaia in the future. I will solo this one. As you wish, Chiron nodded. Artemis POV. Apollo had a vision where the death of our little brother was undecided. He felt him die, yet he didn't see him dying. But even with an undecided fate, this was more than enough to have us on the edge. If he died, Mother would mourn him for all of eternity. Apollo and I would mourn him. If the short time we have come to pass together, I had grown to care for him like a big sister would. And how could I not? His heart was unlike the majority of other demigods I had the displeasure of meeting. He was without hate or anger towards his godly family. Instead, he was playful, annoying, friendly, and understanding. Zoe, give Adam this, I said, summoning one bow almost identical to the ones my hunters used with a few minor modifications. This was the best we could do to help him survive. He needs a good weapon. Understood. Zoe nodded, after the Oracle gave me my quest. Fuck her, by the way. I decided to leave without taking anyone with me, but Destiny, like always, said, fuck you, for Annabeth and my nephew Lee Fletcher were waiting for me at the exit of the camp with angry expressions. You want to go on a quest? Solo? Do you have a death wish? If so, there are less idiotic ways to kill yourself, Annabeth stated. I'm coming with you. I'm in too, Lee said. I ain't gonna let you leave this place alone. You two won't take no for an answer, right? I sighed. I suppose I could use some help to guide myself to where I have to go, and if things get ugly, I can always force them to sleep with magic or something. Not even in your dreams, Annabeth smiled. What Goldie said, Lee smirked. All right, I conceded for now. They would come with me. After leaving the camp with my not-so-desired companions, Annabeth told us to go to a local UPS store and pray for Hermes' help, and if we were lucky, he would give us some instructions on how to proceed with the quest. So, UPS is like his temple or something? I asked, somewhat confused. Yes, I knew Hermes was the messenger of the gods, but I don't recall reading UPS was his temple or something. More like he owns it, but yeah, it's like his temple, Lee answered. I took another look at the sign and noticed it had changed from the UPS store to the OPS store. Neat little trick and nice word game. Olympian Postal Service. Gotta love that creativity. As I walked in, Annabeth sat down with Lee, and they started praying to Hermes, and with nothing to lose but my time, I decided to do the same. Maybe Hermes would be like my siblings. Lord Hermes, I know that we don't know each other, or rather I don't know you. You being a god are very likely to know about me. And I know that praying to you for help doesn't leave a good precedent. Without having even talked to you yet, but if you can, and it's not too much trouble, please help me, I would really appreciate it. I don't ask for much, just some answers to my questions. P.D. OPS, a very clever name. It made me laugh in a good way. PDD, no hard feelings if you can't help. Well, maybe a little bit with Annabeth for making me come here, but we cool either way. That has to be the weirdest prayer I have ever gotten, a UPS employee said with a chuckle, putting a package on the counter of the store. You said you had questions, well, I have answers. Lord Hermes, I bowed, finally realizing who he was. I'm a little insulted. Your tag-along duo didn't recognize me earlier. Hermes chuckled. I mean, guys, what is Chiron or D teaching you? Like, how long has Adam been in the camp? A few months? And yet, he recognized me in less than 10 seconds. We are so sorry, Lord Hermes. Both Annabeth and Lee bowed in respect and fear. It's all right. I'm just messing with you, but seriously study your Greek lore more. Hermes smiled, turning his gaze at me. Now for those questions, and before you ask, yes, I'm super handsome, and it's all natural, thank you. Now with that question, what is your second question? I'm not gonna lie. Hermes way more friendly than I had anticipated. Well, I have one question or request. Can you show me, like, with exact directions and images, where's the Sirens Island? That's a rather specific and foolish question. Hermes laughed. Of course I can. And with the snap of his fingers, I felt the information I had requested enter my brain. And just like that, I knew where the island was located and how to get there. Now on to question number 2. I have one more question, I said with a smile. Good, because I'm only giving you one more answer, Hermes smiled. How can we stop the sirens from making us drown with their voices? By this point, Annabeth and Lee must be wondering, why did he waste his questions of that? Or something along those lines. Well, I did it to save time. How? Teleporting to teleport. I need to know or have a solid idea where I have to go, which I didn't before talking to Lord Hermes, which in turn saved me months of unnecessary travel. But this was just the tip of the iceberg. The sirens were deadly enemies, capable of killing beings stronger than them, and I had no defense against them. My sense nullification spell was incomplete, which was why my second question was how to avoid teleporting to my doom. Hermes hummed, "You know what, kid, I will help you out. Follow me," he said, walking to a door that would normally lead to a bathroom inside the store, but I knew otherwise, so I unquestioningly followed him. And as I walked through the door, we found ourselves inside a UPS warehouse. Here you go. Hermes AirPods, patent pending. These babies will help you fight their soothing voice, but only if your will is strong. Otherwise it was nice meeting you. Thanks for your assistance, Lord Hermes, Annabeth said, taking a pair of Hermes AirPods. Thanks for everything, Lord Hermes, Lee said, doing the same. As we left the warehouse, I heard Hermes mutter, "They're not going to make it." "Yes, we will." Outside the UPS, I started to concentrate my magic to initiate the teleportation spell, and immediately I sensed that something was wrong for me. The island was very far away, and the fact I was carrying 2 other people made the magical load heavy. So if I teleported there, I would be magically cripple myself for at least an hour. So I guess I'll have to beat up area with my own hands. Okay, I can teleport us there, but I will not able to teleport us back, at least for an hour or so, I announced. Wait, Adam, my lady hath sent thee a wonderful gift. That voice and weird way to word her thoughts, Zoe. I turned around to confirm my suspicions. Thy gift, she added, handing me a silver-colored bow with a gold quiver. The bow had Artemis's symbol, and as for the quiver, it had Apollo's symbol. It was like they wanted me to have a part of them. I have to thank them for this if I survive total annihilation today. I wish thee the best of lucks in your hunt. Thanks, Zoe, thanks, I smiled, gripping my new weapon firmly. After Zoe handed me my gift, Annabeth came up to me and with a stern look said, "What's the plan?" Didn't she understand? The plan was to get the book and leave, get the book and come back. I answered, "That's not a plan. It's a wish list at best," exasperated Annabeth with a firm look. "If the AirPods Lord Hermes provided don't work, you'll be teleporting us to our death," she added. And she was right. If these things didn't work as he said they would, everyone here would die. "Oh, damn. I didn't think of that," Lee muttered. "Well, any ideas then?" I asked Annabeth, who nodded. "Can you teleport us near the island, but far from their reach?" Annabeth inquired. I nodded. "I can. Lord Hermes gave me enough information to do so." "Can you teleport us in a small boat there?" Annabeth asked. "I think I can, but we would be a few miles away from the location. Teleporting a small boat would take a lot of my energy," I answered. "Good. Then here's the plan," Annabeth smiled. "You will teleport us in a boat as close as you can to the island. Then one of us will try to approach the sirens. This person will be tied with a rope in case something goes wrong. This was we test if the AirPods work without killing ourselves. Fair enough. Her plan was less impulsive and reckless than mine, so why not? All right, let's find a small boat," I nodded. After legally getting a boat, by stealing it from a boat and nacho selling store, I started the incantation for the spell, focusing on the place I wanted to go, with Lee, Annabeth, and me being on top of the boat. Troplet su isalk otit 8 is nearest nalsi. "Let's go," Lee cheered. With a flash of light, the boat fell into the sea with a resounding splash of water, letting us know that we were no longer in New York Central Park, but out in the open sea. Okay, I will need at least 2 hours before I can teleport us back. I said, noticing that I felt much weaker than I had anticipated. The spell had left me dry on mana, very dry. Where is the island? Annabeth asked. North from here, 2 miles away. I answered. Then let's move this baby there, Lee said, turning the boat in that direction. Our trip from there was quite uneventful. It took us less than 5 minutes to arrive at our desired destination, and now it was time to select who among us would go and test the AirPods. I will go, I smiled. I am the one with the quest, and I feel it's only fair for me to risk my life first. Besides, I want to see how much Disney got right. Imma kill me some Ariels tonight. I finished with a laugh. Don't do anything reckless. If the AirPods work, wait for us, don't engage. Annabeth sounding worried, and just now I had noticed that with my magic drained, I could not feel her emotions. I guess my empathic sense is tied to my mana. Don't worry, Annabeth. No over-glorified sushi roll will defeat me. I chuckled, but she had a point. Anything can happen in the heat of battle, but in the awful, I do die. Please put Under the Sea as my funeral song, to match my stupid death. I don't know if I should feel proud he is so brave or concerned, Lee said to Annabeth, putting the rope around my waist. Both, Annabeth snorted. Both is good, Lee nodded, tying the rope tightly around me. Ready, he said, giving the rope a final tug to prove the rope was ready. All right, here I come. I chuckled, diving into the sea. I might not be a son of Poseidon, but I have my skills here on the water. Swimming was one of the few things I was able to do in my past life, and here I was reaping what I had sowed. I continued swimming for a minute or so, and as I approached the island, something happened. All of a sudden, a dreamy, almost heavenly sound invaded my senses, with whispers of the lyrics sounding somewhat familiar and yet foreign. I tried to fight it, but the song was strong, and now I lamented I didn't have enough mana to cast a no-sound spell on me as the sirens dragged me to the island, controlling my mind. Adam, we were waiting for you. Images of my birth into this new world appeared in my head, son of divine creatures. Images of my mother, and someone else in the shadows appeared. Power never seen before lies within you, but your fatal flaw drags you. Your recklessness will be the end of you. Today, I struggled for control, but the feeling was overwhelming, but I could feel some voices calling for me. Stop! You're gonna drown. Annabeth and Lee shouted, and I snapped out of the trance. The fuck? These shitty AirPods don't work, I muttered, seeing the siren a few meters away from me. And they were not like Ariel at all. The sirens were not half fish like I kind of expected. Instead, they were human-sized vultures, with female human faces, dirty black plumage, gray talons, and wrinkled pink necks. You. Eat this, Lee shouted, shooting at them with his bow. Drag him back, Annabeth. Wait, they were still singing, but I was still out of their control. So perhaps this AirPods did work, but only worked after you managed to get some sort of hold over yourself. Don't. I shouted back as I whispered, Edam ruo srei. As soon as I said that, I felt all sound disappear, and an immeasurable amount of pain spread through my body, making me cough blood onto the sea. This feeling made me feel as sick as I once was, and I could feel my body shiver as it invaded my body. I knew beforehand casting a spell without fuel had consequences, that this was not something healthy to do, but I had to try all the cards in my hand before admitting defeat, and even then I would cheat or something. So with that in mind, I had high hopes this spell might just work. If the order of events was anything to go by with these sirens, it means they needed you to hear them. But this was at best a guess, but considering I heard something for a bit before entering in their melodic control, I was sure it meant that with these AirPods blocked part of their magic, or at least made so it was easier to break free of their grasp. Annabeth immediately noticed that she couldn't hear anything, and with a smile, she turned on the boat towards me, at full speed with her spear ready. If this didn't work, I would just have to bitch slap them both out of the trance. And if it did work, well, we had to kill the sirens in under 5 minutes. I don't think the spell I casted will last long. As Annabeth approached, I could feel the sirens turning their attention to me, and with a shriek that could break glass, one of them dived at me, pulling me deep into the sea. At first, I was scared, very scared, but I would be damned if I go without a fight. Pulling my sword, I swung at the siren's claw. But this creature not only was apparently aquatic, even though their bodies hinted otherwise, because it kicked my sword with his free paw deep into the sea. With a smile devoid of emotion, the monster kicked me deep into the sea, tossing me aside like an old doll, and started to swim back into the surface to face my team. And as I descended into the depths of Poseidon's realm, I realized what the monster had done, what the monster had in mind. The siren wanted to drown me first. She knew I couldn't breathe underwater, and with that intention, she held me underwater until oxygen was about to run off, and then, just to be sure, she kicked deeper into the sea. As a cruel touch to make sure that I died, trying to swim to the surface, which I would fail, and without me, the death spell I had cast would go off immediately, meaning the time I bought my team would become useless, resulting in 3 deaths, 3 horrific deaths. I didn't want to die. I wasn't ready to die. I can't die. Panic spread as I raged about my stupidity. Why had I rushed without mana? I was for now highly dependent of it. Panic and rage course through my body as I pushed my body to the very limit in a desperate attempt to escape this fate. I could feel my heart beating faster by the second, to the point my chest started hurting badly. I could feel the need in my body to open my mouth and breath, even though I was under the ocean, and that would only make things worse for me. And while I desperately tried to save myself, a part of me whispered I was not going to make it to the surface, that no matter how hard I tried, my body would give up before I managed to reach the surface, and I would drown. But the kindle of hope inside me had yet to die. And as my body began to slow down, almost getting to the point of a respiratory arrest, a hand reached out to me, and with desperation, I stretched out my hand and grabbed it. Ah! I shouted as I got to the surface, with my body immediately claiming the oxygen around. It took a few seconds for my body to realize I was okay, and a few more of me coughing like a smoker with terminal cancer. A little help, Annabeth shouted, swinging her spear at the sirens. A quick look around showed me I wasn't in the sea, something I'd failed to notice till now. I was standing at the island, and not only that, but the spell had worn off. I could hear her, meaning she could hear me, a fact the sirens seemed to be oblivious about. The raw fear the siren had forced into me. The primal fear she had awoken while she tried to drown me. That sensation of helplessness I had felt under the sea as I struggled to survive. All of that turned in the blink of an eye into an unyielding rage. I wanted to kill the sirens. I wanted to see their body turn into dust. And with a scream of pain, agony, and anger, I held my bow high, aiming at them. And without hesitation, I shot an arrow to the one that had tried to drown me. The clueless siren did not see it coming. For her, I was about to die a few seconds ago, and therefore I was discarded out of her mind. And so in her carelessness of not making sure that I was actually dead, I was now dictating the terms of our battle, which brought me a sense of satisfaction when the arrow I had shot hit her in the chest, making her scream in agony and confusion as she turned around to see me. "I hope you rot in Tartarus," I screamed, shooting arrow after arrow at her. The first 2 she managed to dodge as she tried to reach me, but before the next 5 shots took her down to the ground a few meters away from me, where I continued to shot until there was nothing more than dust where she once laid. Her siren sisters turned around seeing her sister gone, and in response, the 2 remaining sirens screamed in agony and flew at me, promising a world of pain. I scoffed and aimed at them, but before I could shot, Annabeth and Lee took this opportunity to kill them off while their guard was down, with Annabeth impaling one of the sirens, and Lee killing the other with 2 arrows to the head. When I realized that the sirens were no longer present, that the threat had been eliminated, I fell to the ground of the island with my hands trembling, thinking that I had almost died. How careless was I 1 second more underwater, and I would have ended inside those monsters as a meal. Not only I had risked my life in a stupid manner, but I had dragged 2 more lives to the mix, and then it hit me. The sirens had revealed to me my fatal flaw. I was reckless, and today it almost cost my life. "Dude, you okay?" Lee said, running to me. "I think I am," I answered with a raspy breath. "I apologize," Annabeth muttered, sounding angry with herself. "I should have thought of a better strategy. This was my fault. What was I thinking, fighting them on the water while they hold dominion over the skies and the sea? I almost killed us all. It's okay. I was the moron that thought teleporting here, losing all my magic for a prolonged period of time, was an okay idea. I should have gone the long fucking way. It's not like this shit has a time limit anyway. I sighed as I got my metaphorical shit together. And I was awesome, Lee chuckled, getting a look from Annabeth and me. What? I did nothing wrong. Not my fault. I can't seem to miss. So now what? The book? Annabeth asked. Yes. And then we go back home. I nodded. We now had to explore the island, find the tome, and get the heck out of this place. It was deep in the night, with the moon over halfway down in the western sky, and I was feeling rather troubled. At first, I blamed my bad mood to, well, I don't know, almost dying, but now, after feeling my mana not recovering at all, something felt odd. Something in this island was putting my instincts on a high trip and my mana on a low basis. I wasn't sure exactly what was going to happen or when, but I knew something was going to happen, and even though I had no idea what that entailed, I had a strong feeling that it was going to be something straight out of a horror movie. Considering the deeper we got into the island, the more terrifying the place got, with a fucking haze that covered around 8% of the area. We continued our walk, and I could see Annabeth and Lee were also alert, showing not only I was feeling an ominous feeling coming from this wretched place. Eventually we found the one place I'd seen the book thanks to Hermes, the one place on the island that had life, or rather looked like it had something reminiscent of life. With a sigh, I moved forward and my suspicion was confirmed. I could see where the book or tome was the one I was supposed to recover for the gods, and immediately noticed something was wrong. Everything was quiet, too quiet. I bet Lee's desert privilege that the moment we get into that cave, or close it, a monster will appear. I said, feeling an ominous feeling coming from the area. This island was something else, even though I had been walking for hours. I still felt weak, my mana was still depleted, and I felt like death was lurking in the shadows. With a sigh, I observed the cave behind the time, a cave that seemed to call at us. That sounds like a stupid bet, Annabeth sighed. Why would I bet if my chance of losing is 100%? All right, hand me your sword, Lee. I sighed, realizing it was nothing much I could do besides tackling the problem. All right, Annabeth and I will go in. You guard our back. No energy for magic? Annabeth asked, and I shook my head. Fucking place. As I walked with Annabeth, I started to wonder if I would get to kill another siren today. This was, after all, the Siren's Island, maybe a super siren, but before I could continue to ponder over such morose thoughts, a chilling sensation stopped me, something that made both Annabeth and me stop cold. A sound, something that sounded like a hiss, followed by an earth-shaking tremor, an ear-piercing shriek filled our ears with pain and fear. In front of me, something started to manifest, as a fair bit of faint blue smoke formed a body. At first, it looked like a beautiful woman, but as it materialized a bit more and more, her shape started to change, to morph, with little details that made her terrifying, like her bony face, which was wider than it legally should be, locked in a permanent expression of delirious joy, lidless eyes wide open and bulging as if eyes were about to pop out of her head like candy, her wide mouth gaping, showing jagged teeth dripping of blood, no dripping of poison, and her body, that at one point of its manifestation was a beautiful woman, was now an amalgamation of something that vaguely resembled a human and a scorpion mashed together. Her hands were big enough to hold 5 basketballs without dropping them, while her arms were simply so skinny there was no way she could hold those hands or suffering fractures. Alas, biology didn't apply to this. Immediately in shock, I took a step back in horror. Hungry, she screeched as she turned slowly to both Annabeth and me, and I couldn't help but wonder what in the name of Tartarus was that. Not that I could use my head right now. I had trouble suppressing the chills that ran down my spine. Wise girl, the fuck is that? Lee shouted with worry. I don't know, Annabeth muttered, taking a few steps back. The amalgamation cackled, looking at us. Where are you, food? The monster questioned with a delighted expression, and fast as lightning, her abnormally elongated hand shot forward and something flew at me, missing me by half an inch. Taking a deep breath, I turned around to see the projectile lodged diagonally on the ground. The woman apparently had the skill to shot bones delightful, the Percy Jackson version of Kimimaro. Taking into consideration how fast that thing was, there's no way we could possibly avoid a straight shot. That shit she just shot was faster than anything I've seen, which means a straight-on fight was not the solution. Looking at the monster, I noticed something that the monster was so strong. Why were we still alive? Not that I complain, but with that power, she could end us before we even had the chance to draw our weapons. Studying the monster a bit more closely, I noticed her eyes, while creepy and nightmare-provoking, were milky white. And if I have learned anything by reading science and manga, is that the monster was either blind or had an almost 360 vision field. But considering we were still alive, it was time to test the blind theory. So taking a deep breath, I threw a rock far I carefully grabbed from the ground and threw it as far as I could. And as soon as the rock made some sound, the monster immediately rushed towards the sound, shooting projectiles at it. That was it. She was half scorpion, which meant she had to be kind of blind. Of course, Annabeth said in realization without actually vocalizing it. Thank God she has brains and that I can read lips. What? Lee screamed without making a sound, mostly speaking with his hands. She is blind. Annabeth shouted back without making a sound. Food is playing with me. The monster cackled. Good, I want to have fun with food. That way food always tastes better. I made a gesture for Annabeth and Lee to move, and I did the same, apparently. A little step alerted the monster enough. There, the monster screamed in delight, throwing another projectile this time at Lee. This time the projectile did hit, but no as intended, for it merely scratched Lee, who said nothing. Then I drew my bow and shot at her. But much to my dismay, the arrow broke upon contact, showing her skin was tough enough to withstand our weapons. Or at least my arrows. This battle was going to be impossible to win if I didn't use magic. So I decided to embrace my fatal flaw and do something reckless. Selbaruo, swore Ine Tebene rapes tie. At this, one of her projectiles pierced my leg, but I didn't stop my incantation. Seeing this, both Lee and Annabeth started running and shouting to buy me time. 8 Nikreep Rewap Fo 8 Sneva. As soon as I finished the incantation, pain like I have never experienced before brought me to my knees, with my eyes, mouth, and ears bleeding. This was worse than anything I'd felt in my past, 1,000,000 times worse, a cruel reminder of what happens when casting spells without energy. But it's not like I had much of a choice. It was either that or letting the monstrosity eat us. And if I died doing this, it wouldn't be so bad. I would die on my terms. Hungry. Eat now. The monster roared, throwing her assault of bones in every direction. But what the monster didn't know was that Lee and Annabeth were running through the big rocks, using them as cover. Quite clever. In pain, with my vision being at this point nothing but shadows and the sound around me being nothing more than muffled tones, I stood up, nothing but my will supporting me, and took my bow and an arrow from my quiver. Artemis, Apollo, I pray for you too to guide my arrow so that it strikes my target. Bless this shot. I muttered as I shot at the biggest shadow, hoping it was the monster, hoping that my sibling would guide my shot, considering it was my last for now. And it seems they did, or at least I had luck shooting at it. If the muffled sound of the monster screaming in pain was anything to go by, my reckless move had worked. Not so much of a flaw now. Our weapons could now pierce her skin. Annabeth. Lee, I shouted, falling to the ground once again. Attack her. Our weapons work now. And as I felt my body going numb, I couldn't help but chuckle. This had been what I saw in the vision of the oracle. Total darkness. So this is it. How underwhelming. As the darkness began to slowly but surely embrace me, I could hear Annabeth and Lee fighting for their lives as I wondered, was this it? My destiny was to die a fool? I don't accept it. Fuck the oracle. Fuck fate. I don't want to die. I'm not ready to die this time. This time, I wanted to live. I'm not going to let a mummy tell me where I'm going to die. I said forcibly as I pushed my eyes open with pure sheer willpower, my body begging to just stop struggling. But no. Fuck my body too. I wanted to live, and that was final. I'm not going to let a second-hand mummy tell me what my destiny should be. With my legs shaking in pain and my vision all blurry, I stood from the ground despite all the odds against me, getting a pleasant surprise when I did so, because out of nowhere, I felt how my body started to heal on its own. It was a foreign feeling, yet familiar feeling, very unexpected, but I wasn't going to complain. Though this would do no difference in this battle, for this self-healing wasn't healing much at all for now. It was just healing my magically crippling mana fatigue, which was the main reason I was on seconds before on the ground, so this was very welcomed. But at the rate I was recovering. It would take too long for me before I managed to recover my casting abilities. So with a sigh, I grabbed my bow from the ground and got ready to fight, but this time I needed to think this through. For one, I knew that with the current state of my eyes, I would never be able to aim at the monster properly again. Right now at long range was a liability. I had to make the monster come to me, but before doing that, I had to make sure I would kill him. As I tried to think of how to kill the monster, I felt a very familiar sound floating around me. I instinctively stretched out my hand without knowing why. The sound was like the fluttering of wings of a raven, but at the same time it sounded like a book whose pages were being aggressively flipped. It was a mix of tone if I had to pick something. As I touched whatever was hovering around me, I felt my body sucking on something like a source of energy that immediately took the fatigue away. The second thing that happened that I regained my sight. In shock, I brought my gaze immediately to what I was touching, seeing it was a book. My book of spells, what was it doing here? I didn't know, and how was my mana regenerating just by touching it? I didn't know either, but those were questions for later. This was a welcome surprise, but I knew it wouldn't last long. I could somehow tell the book barely had enough to get me back up to 20% charge mana-wise at much, and I was lucky. As far as I could feel through my hand, that was. But regardless of that, I had to act fast or Annabeth and Lee would die. I dashed before I could start my incantation. I felt something coming from the book, a change of energy to say something, taking the book to see what was happening. I noticed it was changing, and before I could come with any conclusion, the book opened in front of me and started to erase all the content inside of it, leaving a new title with a new information inside. Chapter 2 of the Book of Magic, Demonic Arts, and Incantations. While my mind was in shock, the book began to turn the pages, and with a somewhat violent glow stopped on one page, which had only one spell. I call the darkness unto me from deepest depths of earth, and see from ancient evils unawoken break the one that can't be broken. O blackest night, I pledge my soul, I crush my heart, to burning coal, to summon forth a deathly power, to see my hatred foe devoured. A spell of great power, but of great cost. This spell does not use mana, nor any earthly energy. The cost for using this spell is the risk of being corrupted by the dark energy of the spell die. That spell, I had seen it before in my world, on television, in a cartoon show, while I was on one of the many clinics I used to frequent, which could only mean that this book somehow had knowledge of various universes on a magical level. First, there was the magic Zatanna wielded. I let that slide, thinking perhaps this world had the same type of magic as some type of cosmic connection. But now this. There was no longer any doubt in my mind that Leto had not given me the book, nor any god. Of the Olympus pantheon, for that matter. This book was too powerful for that to be the case. No god here would give anyone such a weapon. Well, I guess the book wants me to kill the monster with this specific spell. Sighing, I decided to give a shot. Feeling somewhat brave, I call the darkness unto me from deepest depths of earth, and see from ancient evils unawoken break the one that can't be broken. To blackest night, I pledge my soul, I crush my heart, to burning coal, to summon forth a deathly power, to see my hatred foe devoured. Word by word, I felt something frightening forming within me, with my hands burning in a dark cloak of darkness. But it all ended when the incantation was over. All the energy I'd called upon had turned into a dark sphere floating slowly but surely in front of me. And without giving any warning, it started to shape itself little by little until a raven had taken shape from the foreign energy. The dark animal stared at me for a second, showing no emotion, but an overpowering scent of death. And even though it was a construct I had created with my own hands, it was genuinely frightening. It was like staring at death itself. And I knew that one touch from that thing and no amount of will would put me back together. Giving one chillingly terrifying caw, the raven flew from its original position to the monster, who immediately reacted to the sound the construct made and tried to attack it, which was his worst and last mistake the monster made, for as soon as that happened, and the monster made contact with the energy, it turned into dust. After that, the monster died. I ran to my companions who were on the floor, gasping for air. They were safe, and that was all that mattered, but before I was able to approach them any further, I felt a new pain invade my head. It felt like my right eye was burning, as if someone had ripped my eye out with a molten hot knife. "You're okay," Lee muttered happily, but his expression morphed into worry as soon as he saw my face. Your eye. What of it? I asked as the pain stopped. You need a mirror. I can't describe it, Lee muttered. What can't you? Oh, in the name of my mother. Annabeth muttered, staring at me. I almost died. Twice I got new spells and new consequences for using them, and I was probably blind on my right eye now. Great day, love it. Yes, I was being sarcastic. I deserved to be. With the quest completed, there is nothing left for us but to return to the camp. We had all suffered in this mission. Annabeth had a couple of broken ribs, and Lee, well, he had some internal bleeding. As for me, while I had lost and gained the most, considerably more than they had, for losses my right I was gone. Well, not gone, but I was blind now, and I could only hope Apollo was able to heal it. Otherwise, I would have to learn to live without depth perception. But in the bright side, without the weird monster we had killed, I was now recovering my mana quite fast. How long till you can teleport us? Annabeth asked with a weak smile. Not much, I answered with a smile. I don't feel so good, Lee chuckled, coughing blood every 2 words. I think I need to take a nap. Wake me when we is time to go. Don't die on me. Is my first time babysitting one of my nephews. I chuckled. Haha. Well, you're the worst uncle ever, Lee laughed. After resting for an hour, I teleported us to the camp, where we received medical attention. In my case, as soon as Siren saw me, he got angry, knowing right away that I had used dark magic, saying it was the reason I was blind on an eye now, a curse that took my sight from one eye away, and by how he described the nature of the curse, it was one that only Hecate or Apollo could remove. So I did the only thing I could and prayed for Apollo to come. I did not want to be blind, so I prayed, and at first I got no response and was about to give up on that healing path until a note appeared in front of me. Dear little bro, congrats on the quest now. About your curse, don't worry and worry. Meet the worry meter in the middle. I will remove the curse later today, when I get the time to go to the camp without Dad knowing, but heed my warning if you fall under that curse again. I won't remove it again, not because I want to teach you a valuable lesson, but because I won't be able to do so. This curse is like nothing I have ever seen. It consumes your soul, is the cancer of magic to put in human terms. You're basically very lucky to have the curse at a manageable point, which is why I can remove, but is nearing a state I won't be able to do anything about it. Hecate might know more about this. But I want to keep her out of this matter altogether, she would tell Dad. Right away. And, well, I want to think about it. I'll be in your cabin in about 3 hours. Please don't use more magic until then. The curse is of the mana corrupting kind, and will spread more and more the more magic you use. Just sit and wait for me. A curse he is a god could not remove twice. I'm definitely not using that spell ever again. All right, time to do nothing, I sighed as I entered my cabin, wondering what else did my magic book had to offer. What a day. And everything to recover a fucking tome Colgate. Hecate threw into the sea. I don't even know the woman, and I hate her. Apollo POV. Mom was going to kill me. Adam had not only got badly hurt, but was close to dying more than once. And to top that cherry, my little bro had gotten a curse that really put his parentage to question. What in the name of Tartarus was that curse? Actually, now that I think about it, it felt like something straight from out of Tartarus. After all, the nature of this magical illness was dark. Very dark, and I have seen dark. Not like this, never like this. In fact, the best term I could come with to describe such anomaly was to compare to a magical cancer or magical HIV. The curse was passive and aggressive, sticking to his core at a molecular level, but not spreading beyond the point it had already taken over. No, this curse didn't spread on a normal basis. This one spread on a more intricate level, waiting for my brother to use magic to spread through his system further and further to the point of no return. Did he really got that by a spell he casted? Artemis asked, shocked a demigod could curse himself on a level only a god could. Yes, apparently the spell was as dark as they come. I nodded, wondering if Mother had sired a son of Tartarus. Do you think he's a child of Tartarus? I don't think so, otherwise he would be God, or at least immortal. And he's not, Artemis replied, but it was clear she was also questioning who sired him. He had powers he shouldn't have, and access to dark arts that not even the gods had access to. Mom controls the everything related to childbirth, including if the baby is immortal or not. Perhaps she did that. I sighed. It's just I can't understand. His magic is way beyond what the children of Hecate can do. And now he has curses that could only come from those of the realm of Tartarus or Erebos. His dad can't be human. At least of that much, I am certain. We should ask Mom. If he has any relationship with the primordials, even a distant one, father will kill him. We must ask Mom who his father is, Artemis said with resolution. If push comes to shove, I'll just turn him into a woman. Father will never find him. Let's not go that far, I snorted, imagining Adam as a huntress. I am sure we can keep Dad occupied, especially with the new son of Poseidon coming into play soon. Oh yeah, that kid, Artemis sighed. Very well, but regardless of that, we must find who his father is before father starts making assumptions. If we're lucky, his dad will be a minor god like Thanatos. Let's hope is that. I nodded. Anything above that in the power ladder, and nothing would stop Dad from smiting at him. With the curse gone, thanks to Apollo, I decided to focus on my demigod training for the moment being. The last mission had proved I was less than good when it came to it. Heck, I had to push my body to the very limit twice by casting spells when I shouldn't have. So, as to avoid being the youngest demigod of my generation to die, I decided to improve that. I did not want to be that close to dying ever again if possible. So it was time to train, and by train I mean getting my ass mercilessly kicked over and over and over and over, and you guessed it, over again. How can I be so good with magic and bows, but suck so hard in other forms of combat? This was frustrating. I'm not sure what has gotten into you, Annabeth smiled, helping me stand up after the ass kicking she had delivered. Not that I don't enjoy defeating you, over and over and over and over again, but any reason why you are doing this? Well, you see, there is nothing I enjoy more than a woman beating to a pulp. Maybe a woman in leather beating me to a pulp. I snorted at her expression of shock. Haha. Well, I want to be more reliable. Without my magic, I struggled a lot to not die. And girl, I did not want to die. So here I am getting my ass kicked by you. I sighed. I can't believe there are people that pay for this. I added with a chuckle. Annabeth chuckled. Well, then I have to say you are improving. I think the daily ass-kicking are imparting you with some battle wisdom. Very funny. I rolled my eyes at her low-tier joke. The only one that could make bad jokes here was me. But in all seriousness, I find what you're doing remarkable. Annabeth smiled. Trying to improve yourself beyond your talents is something worthy of praise. Haha, I suppose it takes a big man to not be bothered by the fact he is losing 100% of the fights for now. Oh, that was a lie. I was bothered, very bothered, so much in fact that I was eagerly waiting for the day to kick her ass. Day by day my vindictive rage grew, asking for petty revenge. If only Annabeth knew she was going to suffer an overly planned, over-top prank the moment after I beat her. I suppose, but don't feel too bad for losing. I doubt anyone here could win against you if you use your magic. Yes, I know that so far you're pretty average in armed and unarmed combat, but with magic you have no equal in the camp, Annabeth stated. The average thing was uncalled for, and honestly quite hurtful. I said, pretending to be hurt. I call them like I see them, Annabeth chuckled. Hey guys, Lee came running. Uncle, Miss Godly Locks. He bowed, greeting us both. I have straight hair. God, why did you start that nickname, Adam? Annabeth groaned, rubbing her temples with clear annoyance. Not for long. Mwahaha, mwaha, mwahaha. Rukray Raya, Orf, 8 Yad. What in the? Annabeth shouted in shock, seeing her hair turn curly, and immediately knew it was me. So turning to me with mild anger, she growled, This better be temporary. Don't be angry. I think you rock this look. I chuckled. Ha. Lee was at this point on the ground laughing, so hard he didn't make any sound. You think that? Annabeth started to growl, but then saw her reflection in my sword and hummed. You know what? I look kind of cute with this look. Maybe I will use you as a hairdresser more often to change things up. Analyzing data. Report completed. Prank backfired. Aborting pranking protocol. You will never catch me alive. I immediately did what any man on my situation would do and ran. You can make a lot of money with the girls of the camp. Annabeth shouted as she ran after me. The daughters of Aphrodite would pay you a lot to change their hair and make them clothes. Money? Lots of them. This time I did once again what any man in my position would. I ran back to Annabeth and said, I am open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., and you need appointment to see me. Really was that easy to convince you? Annabeth laughed. What can I say? I have the power to target a demographic no other provider can, so I'ma exploit the heck out of that. I smiled, already thinking what I would commission for Hephaestus' cabin with all the money I would make. All right, I'll start spreading the news then, Annabeth said with a smile. That was unexpected, Lee commented. Man, I shrugged. Well, Annabeth was right. The girls, and apparently some of the boys in the camp, were quite enthusiastic at the idea of having a magical hairdresser to change their looks, with the children of Aphrodite being the first ones to go to my cabin, both boys and girls. They were quite metrosexual, those kids. One even brought a tent just in case he had to sleep outside, like those people waiting for the new iPhone and shit. But I couldn't help her wonder, where did they get the money to pay me? None of them worked, and we didn't get paid for the chores of the camp. Did they have a godly allowance I was not aware of? And if so, how much did they get so as to market my services in a way that would lead me to get all of their money? Hi, I came for a new hairstyle and mustache removal. That voice, Clarice? I couldn't help but laugh like a madman as I saw the half-bald Clarice standing in front of me, with the magical mustache I had attached to her face still standing. All right, I had my fun. Now tell me what hairstyle you want, I said, wiping a few tears on my face, which did not to placate her anger. But even as she did nothing, she had a new emotion for me, fear. I want my old hair back, Clarice replied. Sure, why not? I chuckled. Training with Annabeth, resting and repeating the cycle over and over again, I was ashamed to admit my routine had become somewhat predictable, turning my days to a quite monotone tone of repetition. But it was not as if I had anything better to do. I had to learn how to fight without magic. Besides, my magic book had not changed at all since that time during the quest, which led me to believe that it would only change in moments of utmost urgency, or in a sideline crazier theory when the current chapter was mastered, aka the chapter of mnemonic incantation. If my theory was true, I would see a change in the book very soon, since I considered I was close to reaching the point where I could be considered a master of the first chapter, but I really didn't know what kind of requirements the book would have to consider me as such or to let me advance on its contents. But until that happened, here I was training like a bastard, which is technically correct. I am a bastard in a way. You're getting pretty good at it, Annabeth chimed in from the stands as I fought. Doubt or rather struggled against the future traitor, the son of Hermes, Luke. It's admirable to see you have such a resolve, but training so much will only get you into trouble later on. You are overworking your body. Dodging the edge of Luke's sword by a few inches, I looked at Annabeth and said, not a particularly good time, Goldie. It was hard enough to fight Luke, who was way better than me, with the sword, but to do so while having a conversation? Nope, so I resolved to ignore the most annoying demigoddess in camp. Well, second most annoying in camp. Unfortunately, it was too late for my resolve to ignore her, because the second I looked at Annabeth to reply, everything went downhill. Luke, being more seasoned than me at the art of fighting, took this opportunity and hit me with the blunt side of his blade, knocking me flat to the ground, thus winning the duel. With his sword on my throat, there was nothing else to do but to admit defeat for the... I lost count. I surrender. Never take your eyes off the enemy, Luke advised me as he extended a helping hand to help me stand from the ground. Yes, I replied as I looked at Annabeth with annoyance, to which she simply shrugged. God, I wanted to be mad at her, but I just couldn't. I knew very well that even without her interference, I would have lost. She simply accelerated the process. You should use your magic in our duels, Luke offered with a smile. With your magic, I have no doubt you would win every duel. That would defeat the purpose of what I am doing, I replied as I shook the dirt off my pants. I didn't want to win. Well, I did. But not with magic. This wasn't a death battle or something along those lines, so I was in no obligation of using my magic, and I wanted to become a better fighter, a well-rounded one, and these beatings I was taking were giving me results. Luke smiled one last time before he left the training yard. You're right. Did you want something? Goldie, I asked Annabeth, who was walking towards me. Just here to remind you that you have to rest. Annabeth rolled her eyes at me. You have been training for 13 hours today, and just by looking over you, I can see the wounds. You need to stop overworking yourself. Hey, chicks dig men with scars. I'm just here making myself more beautiful. I joked, getting a playful punch as a response on her part. As if, Annabeth snorted in amusement. Let's go and have lunch. Lee wants to challenge you to an eating contest again. When will he learn I am unmatched when it comes to eating free food? I chuckled. Oh, poor Lee. Soon he would once again, unironically taste defeat. You know what? Scratch that. He will ironically be tasting his defeat. Apollo POV. Mom didn't know when Artemis and I went to ask her if she could tell us who Adam's father was, and if he was a god. She answered with total honesty that she didn't know, that she was certain he was a human because she had known him for a while because they had dated for a few months. All she knew now is that he disappeared the moment she became pregnant. She told us how for months she looked for him in hopes so she could give Adam a paternal figure, but she didn't find him anywhere. When Artemis heard this, she exploded with anger. But that rage was quickly replaced by doubt when we started to investigate the man with the information that Mom had given us, and to sum it up, there was nothing. Nothing at all. It is as if the guy never existed to begin with. Do you think Father killed the man? Artemis said, bringing out a good point. There was a very high chance Father killed Adam's father as a fit of jealousy. Even though Father and Mother are not together, it was a possibility. It's possible, but highly unlikely. While such actions were not out of his normal reactions to things he didn't like. I had doubted he was behind this event, because if he wanted to hurt Mother for sleeping with a mortal, he would have also killed Adam. Father was not known for his subtlety. Then what a human disappeared into thin air. Artemis scoffed, and then turned to me. What if the man wasn't a human like Mom confirmed? There had been some shapeshifters able to fool the gods before. Is a possibility, but if that were the case, Adam would have inherited shape-shifting skills, not magic, and certainly not magic on this level. I sighed. Our little bro was turning to be more and more puzzling than I first imagined. The weapon of Zeus, the king of Olympus, had been stolen. The most powerful weapon in existence, the fucking Master Bolt, was lost, and the supernatural world of the gods was in utter chaos. And I had to admit that I had no fucking idea how Luke managed to steal the weapon, and I don't mean the fact he managed to take it. Zeus? No, I mean the guy fucks all day long with anything with a pulse and without a pulse, completely neglecting his wife. So stealing from him should be in theory easy. What I mean was the fact that for weeks I have been watching Luke with my magic, and yet he managed to escape from my sights, both literal and magical, and from the camp, to steal the weapon. How'd he do that? No idea, but the guy was good. I had to admit it, that, or he had stolen the weapon way before I came. Which would leave to question how incompetent was Zeus to not notice his weapon was missing for a couple of months? Oh well, no time to figure out if Luke did a Houdini on us or Zeus just didn't notice until now. I hope it is the latter, otherwise my magic game is being circumvented by him, and I don't like that. Not at all, considering his boss. Anyway, I am very concerned about certain details about this event. Normally, I would just let bygones be bygones. I mean, Percy is about to come and save the day, but there were certain incriminating things about me and this event that would lead me to an early grave, like the fact I had previously taken Apollo's weapon. And if anyone else found out, I would die. But why Adam? Why must you be pessimistic? Well, allow me to illuminate. See Zeus is as paranoid as they come, maybe even more. So if he discovers or hears I was able to summon Apollo's weapon without his consent, he would connect some very bad dots for me, which in turn would end with me being electrocuted to the afterlife or Tartarus, probably Tartarus. And before I hear anyone say, your siblings would never betray you. Well, that is partly true, but Apollo won't be able to help it. He is the god of truth, and he always says the truth, which fucks my life if they ask him. So in front of me, I had two options: recovering the Master Bolt myself from Aries, or hoping that no one asks Apollo the right questions, or I could always anonymously hint Aries has the weapons if push comes to shove. Yeah, the last one works, or doesn't, I didn't really know because I had no idea if my canon knowledge was canonical anymore. I mean, for all I knew, my presence here changed who Luke gave the weapons to. So in the meantime, I shall be as secondary as possible. I will be so secondary that if ever make an anime out of me, I will be one of those characters they draw in the back to fill the environment. Want to join the arena later on? Annabeth said as she walked up to me with smirk. while I was currently doing sit-ups out my cabin as part of my training to gain some extra needed stamina. With your current skills, I'm sure you will get a nice position, and probably a hefty price. Annabeth, I am the sole provider of haircuts and clothes and games in the camp. Money, it's not a problem. I smirked, wiping the sweat of my training with money. Was that necessary? Annabeth chuckled. Yes, I had to assert my dominance. I laughed, drying the money with magic. Not but for real, I don't need the money. I have all the sweaty money I need. Very well, but you were coming to see the fights at least, right? Annabeth asked with a smile. Sure, why not? I nodded. It should be a nice change of pace seeing others getting their asses kicked. Which reminds me, if you ever hit me in the nuts again, I will erase your tits out of existence. Not that you have any. I muttered the last part just for me to hear, as I remembered how she had won the last duel with a super kick to my boys, my poor boys. You almost won our last duel. Annabeth chuckled. I saw a window for victory, and I took it. Annabeth, if you ever see that window again, you better not take it, I said, narrowing my eyes at her into a thin line. That is a window you never take, I mean. I avoid hitting you on the breasts, which by thee is a privilege you lost with the last nut shot. So next we'll be sure to have some armor up there, unless you want to tit shoot. Annabeth sighed and then shuddered. I don't think I want to fight against you anymore. I have a strong feeling you will seek revenge on my chest area. I will avenge my boys one way or another, Annabeth. I will avenge them. I declare to the winds. Is that what a gentleman would do? Or trying to play the gentleman card? I believe in gender equality. I smiled at her, weaponizing my beliefs. Well played. Annabeth clapped her hands, admitting she had lost against me in an argument, which for the children of Athena was a rarity. I play to win. I chuckled. But in all seriousness, I will be there to see you kick some demigod arse. Perfect. Annabeth perked up at that. So that means no revenge? Oh no, I will have my revenge, but that will come when you least expect it. I laughed like a madman, leaving a very concerned Annabeth behind. I felt bad for her, but it was out of my hands she had crossed the line, one a man upholds above all, and now I had to plan a very elaborated and over-the-top prank to ruin her first encounter with Percy. Percy had arrived at the camp and had met Pennywise. I mean, Annabeth, who I cursed to look like Pennywise for a whole day. Percy's expression and Annabeth's pained expression as she showed Percy around the camp made my day. After enjoying my revenge for a couple of hours, taking lots of pictures for posterity, I decided to go to the camp library's secret section. Siren does not allow anyone else but him to enter to continue with my reading about the other pantheons in this world, which for some reason the Greek gods wanted us to think they were fake. Okay, I take it back. I think I know why the gods want us not to believe in any other pantheon, because without human belief the gods would die, or fade to be more precise. You see, gods need humans, or mortal to be precise, to exist, at least in this universe. So when humans start to forget about said god just goes puff. At first, I thought this theory to be bullshit. I mean, what happens when a new god is born? How can humans know about him or her, and how can they believe in him or her? They can't, which in turn would mean they would immediately vanish. So I continued my research about this little phenomenon and found my answer. The fading or absolute death of the gods is caused by a variety of reasons according to the books. But the main ones are, 1, the decline of the god's realm. This implies that people no longer use the realm said god has control of, or simply do not believe in it. For example, if people stopped believing in agriculture, Demeter would die. But with agriculture being so necessary, I highly doubt that will ever happen. Reason number 2, gods can die if people completely abandon their belief in them and what they represent. For this reason, gods that are not well remembered or were never worshipped in the first place usually end up fading. Although this is very rare, most of the gods exist because people believe in their realms. Not them. I doubt many worship Zeus, but they do use his realm quite a lot. And the last reason, which I call the suicide reason, if a god loses the will to remain immortal or loses faith in himself, he could begin the process of his death. Of course, this can take a long time, since the people and the beliefs in their respective realms can keep the god alive against his or her will. Mortals had immense power over the gods, something Zeus despised, Heck, the main reason the Roman pantheon was even a thing was because the Romans and the Greeks saw the gods very differently, but at the same time the same, which ended up with the Greek gods having split personalities and stuff. So, I basically have to start a religion to become a god. I hummed. The Church of Pranks and Magic, I will work on that later. Ding! Oh, my very convenient magical alarm that tells me when Siren is nearby. I love magic troplet OTYM Nyback. And just like that, I was back in my cabin with a lot of information and not really practical ways to use it. One day this will come in handy. Knock. I turned to the door as I curiously approached to see who was knocking on the door, and through the window, I saw that Pennybeth and Percy were at the door, talking. Pennybeth, random guy. What can I do for you? I greeted. I will kill you, Annabeth growled. I can make it permanent. So behave. I smirked. Little did she know I couldn't make it permanent, but what she doesn't know doesn't hurt her. You are just a bully, Percy stated, with a dare I say, angry tone. Let's use my sometimes useful, sometimes useless power to read his emotion. Angry guess I didn't need to use it. Me? A bully? I chortled in amusement. Maybe? I need time to process this. I have come to a decision, and I am not a bully, just a very vindictive guy. Maybe because you can't stand to lose. Percy snorted, still angry. Okay, hold the fucking on. How and why is he taking my prank so seriously? He barely knows Annabeth. All right, I seem to have awoken some hostile feeling from you. But I'll be honest, I don't care. But if you must know, this was my revenge for the nut punch she delivered our last match. I chuckled. She punched you in there? Percy asked, pointing to the affected area. Yep, and my boys demanded vengeance. I nodded. Oh, sorry then. I thought you were just a bully. Percy chuckled. Really? That's it. Annabeth chuckled. I punch him in the groin, and everything is okay? Yes, both Percy and I said with one voice. It's the one place you don't hit a man, Percy stated, and I nodded. So, did you two have a reason to be here, besides trying to make the new guy hate me? I asked with a smile. I wanted to show Percy, the local prankster and the best magic user on the camp. Pennybeth sighed, pointing to herself as proof. As you could see, Percy, he is really talented with magic, and I hate him for it. PFF, nah, you love me. I snorted. As if. Annabeth snorted. You can use magic? Like those magicians in Las Vegas? Percy asked, and for a moment I wondered if he was being serious or not. And then I remembered that even after seeing a minotaur trying to snack on him, he didn't outright believe in this world. Is he for real? I had to ask. Yes. Unfortunately, yes. Annabeth nodded, with a pained expression. Annabeth, you already have too much suffering dealing with him. I sighed. Dealing with Sushi Brain was going to be more painful for her than my curse. So, I did the right thing and undid my curse. Partially, I kind of like the Pennywise hairstyle on her, so I will keep that for the day. You are partially free of my curse. With Percy in the camp, I started to focus on staying on the sidelines, drawing as little attention as possible. I needed to be virtually invisible for my escape plan to succeed. Don't get me wrong, I love the camp as much as I can, but I don't want to stay under a place dear old paranoid Zeus controls. He was a crazy king that saw plots where there were none, and I wanted no part in it. But fear not, for I have a plan. You see, I will wait for Percy to go on his quest to retrieve the Master Bolt and his mom to start my escape. My idea was simple and based on what I knew about Luke, who confirmed to me the gods were not as all-seeing as I originally thought them to be. If they were, well, Luke would be dead and there would be no quest. The point was, I was going to take advantage of the inner conflict between the gods during this quest to escape. And the best part is that they would never find out. How? Well, during the last few weeks, I've been testing my golems on the resident god of the camp to see if he sees them for what they truly are, and little by little I have managed to create something Mr. D can't truly see for what it is. I have no doubt if he really wanted to see through my golem, he could, but the guy barely puts any effort into anything related to the camp. So his I don't give a fuck about this camp attitude worked perfectly. And with that in mind, I created a magical golem of me, being a perfect replica, a masterful construct that will fool the camp and its inhabitants, and will allow me to explore the world and come back as I see it fit. And that wasn't even the best part. The golem worked a teleport beacon, meaning I would be able to teleport to the golem location if any god other than Mr. D appeared in the camp, knowing full well any other would see right through him. With this, I had no doubt I would succeed in my endeavors that were no longer just being free. I had now more interesting goals like meeting other pantheons. For what reason? To learn their magic. I think my eyes are shade darker. I hummed as I tweaked my golem. Just a bit. A voice agreed. Yeah, dash. I've been caught, haven't it? Well, it's been a while, Murphy. Glad you could join. Don't be so tense. The person behind me giggled. I find your work admirable. I turn around to find a 9-year-old girl standing in front of my fireplace, her auburn hair moving in synchrony with the flames and her golden eyes shining like beacons of light. I could feel immeasurable power coming up from her alongside a powerful smell of burnt wood and marshmallows that was oddly a very relaxing mix. Hestia, I instinctively said, deep down being that what I said was nothing but the absolute truth. Hestia was standing in front of me, and yet I felt fine, like even better than with my siblings. The feeling was like being home. Hestia smiled. So you will use this to escape? I can see how this will fool my nephew, but I can also see how it will fail. Not like it will work anymore. I sighed. So, is this the part where you take me to Olympus to meet my fate? I joked. Oh dear no. Hestia shook her head with a smile. I won't snitch on you. That's how kids say it now, these days, right? I nodded. So, you will let me go? I asked. I don't see why not. I know the outside world is dangerous, but I can see you want to see so much and do so much. Hestia smiled, giving me a hug out of the blue. You are the living embodiment of free will, and free spirits cannot be caged. Thanks. I was speechless. I knew for a fact she was the best of the Olympians, but I didn't expect her to be so. I don't know, warm? I don't even have words to describe her personality, more than the fact she reminded me of Sally, with both individuals being gentle and of good nature. Such a strange book, Hestia hummed, getting close to my magic book. I think Hecate calls them grimoires. I'm not sure. My Atom.exe had yet to restart. Don't worry, like I said. I won't snitch or say anything. I am simply amazed by the contents of this book. It's like nothing I have ever seen before, Hestia informed, confirming my earlier suspicions this book was not a gift from the gods of this realm. It's almost alive. It is, I muttered. Now, before you went off, I wanted to give you this. Hestia smiled warmly at me as she handed me a handmade scarf. If you're ever hungry, wear this scarf and just think of anything you want as long as homemade, and the magic of the scarf will create some food, or you can use it with the cold. Is multi-purpose, she giggled. Thanks, but why? I chuckled. Consider it a thanks. Hestia smiled, pointing to my fireplace. You have kept the hearth booming with life, and for that I have to thank you. Isn't the hearth in Olympus? I asked. The hearth is everywhere. There is a home willing to accept me. And as long as the home and its inhabitants accept me, I will be there to help and protect them to the best of my abilities, and you kept the hearth of your little cabin alive. Hestia answered. I have to be honest, I didn't do it knowing you would come. Heck, I didn't even know that fireplace was the hearth of my cabin. Normally I would have lied, but to her, I kind of felt it was going to hurt me more than anything. I know. You did it without knowing, without ulterior motives, and for that I am grateful. Hestia smiled. Now let us eat. I made some lasagna. I hope you like Italian food. Hestia is definitely the best of Olympus. My name is Adam Garfield Aragon. I smiled. What do you think? Haha, silly, Hestia. After my brief and unexpected chat with Hestia that ended with her feeding the ever-living crap out of me, with dozens of dishes, each one better than the last. I mean, seriously, she should be called the goddess of grandmothers, because I was probably 10 pounds heavier after our talk. Anyway, after our brief chat, she pointed out the 2 fatal flaws of my plan. For one, she said that my golem, while almost perfect and very detailed, had too many minuscule differences with me. Ones that beings like the gods would notice with a simple glance, like, for example, the lack of a soul, and while mostly clueless Mr. D apparently would eventually notice. 2, even if I managed to trick Mr. D, I was marked, something I didn't have the slightest idea of what it meant until Hestia explained it to me. Apparently Artemis had marked me, and the mark worked like a magical tracking device, showing my sister had preemptively planned for my escape. Clever girl. In summary, my brilliant escape plan was not an option anymore. But that didn't mean I would stand down. No, that only meant I had to try harder. So, with that in mind, I created a new plan, one that would revolve around me literally stealing the spotlight from Percy. How? Well, like before, I will use the infernal conflict of the gods to my delicious advantage with my succulent new plan. Allow me to explain. Well, there's not really much to explain, besides the fact that I will go out, recover Zeus's Master Bolt and Hades' helmet, giving them both to their original owners, and in the process, winning a few favors from the gods I plan to cash out. But the problem now was how to recover those powerful items without Zeus thinking I stole them in the first place. Hestia. Of course, if I asked her to make me her champion, she would have the liberty to send me in quests, which in turn would cover both my permission to get out and the reason why I recover the weapons. With a smile on my face, I ran toward my fireplace and prayed to her. Hey Hestia, I know we talked like an hour ago, but I had an idea, one that would result in less bloodshed for the demigods and less godly apocalyptic war for the gods. If you want to hear my master plan, please come and bring some cookies. At first I got no response, but a few minutes later, Hestia came out walking out of the fireplace with a tray full of cookies and drinks. This is so exciting. Hestia giggled. I haven't had a good talk about adventures since Hermes stopped having them. Hermes? I chuckled. Yes, he used to go to my manor to tell me about his grand adventures. You know, when he used to deliver the packages himself. Hestia nodded. So what's your plan now? I thought you were going to use the golem. But I rather avoid being caught immediately. I sighed. You pointed out a lot of mistakes on my plan, so I formulated a new plan. I want to be your champion. Not that I am not flattered, but what is the takeaway? Hestia inquired. Well, if I read correctly on the books of God, can send his champion on secondary quests? I am not sure if that's the term. I chuckled, and I plan to use that to recover what was stolen from your brother. I had no idea if Hestia knew about Hades and his helmet situation, but it was best to avoid showing too much meta-knowledge. I trusted Hestia, but it's better be safe than sorry. I see. Hestia sighed. You do realize there's a reason why gods don't pick champions as often as we used to, right? I shook my head. I had no idea. Quests without the Oracle usually end really bad, so we stopped picking champions. Hestia smiled softly at me. Besides, I can't offer you as much as other gods could. I'm not the strongest, and my realms are not battle-oriented, so my blessings will not make you stronger or faster. But you're the one god I can trust with this. My siblings would not approve of my idea, and would force me to stay. I sighed, and I don't care if your blessing don't make me stronger. I am plenty strong as it is. Are you sure? Hestia asked with clear hesitation. I do not want you to be disappointed when the only power you get is awesome cooking skills or minor fire control. Hestia, I would love to be your champion. Let's be honest. Any other god beside you and my siblings would use me as a pawn. My brothers care about me in their own ways, and you're too good to evilly use someone. I smiled at her. Very well. Hestia smiled at my words. Who am I? To stop a free spirit from roaming the world for a thrilling adventure. She chuckled as she approached me with her hands covered in flames. I, Hestia, the first and last Olympian, choose Adam Aragon as my champion. May he bring me glory. May he make the hearth proud. I bless my champion with the fire of hearth so that he never feels the cold. I bless my champions with the feasts of Olympus so that he never has to feel hunger. I bless my champion with the burning coal of the first hearth so that fire never burns him. I felt different. My body felt somewhat lighter. Not enough to say I was faster, but enough to notice I had more energy. I also felt warm, as if a heater was inside me. It was an odd but very fulfilling sensation. I hope you're not disappointed with my blessings, Hestia smiled. Now, I suppose I have to send you to recover the Master Bolt. I smiled yes. After Hestia made me her champion, for no other reason other than me asking her, I embarked on my journey to find the Master Bolt. Alone, with a positive attitude, I first tried to locate the weapon with my magic, and got nothing. Not surprising, though, considering Zeus is Hecaton's speed dial, but I didn't let that minor inconvenience stop my adventure before it even began. So I did the next best thing. I manically tracked Aries. This time, getting a location from the spell, showing the overconfident god of war was not as intelligent as one would think for an immortal being. Seattle, I muttered, looking at the map with a minor degree of disbelief. Of all the places in the world this adventure could have taken me, it took me to Seattle. Oh, well, they do have some nice enchiladas there if I remember correctly. So, I suppose the trip will be worth it. Troplet OT-LTs. With that said, I appeared conveniently inside of an abandoned house, in the middle of what I expect to be Seattle. I really need to start being more specific with where I want to go. I could have just popped into existence midair, or close to something lethal like a woodcutter. I chuckled, taking a few seconds to gather my thoughts. I walked to the nearest window and inspected the situation outside. By the looks of it, I had teleported to the slums of the city. How did I know that? Well, there were 3 people selling and consuming what I can only assume is crack. Not that I am a crack expert to have an accurate depiction of the matter. All right, I hummed as I took a few steps back from the windows, deciding it was best to have a general idea where to find Aries before getting out of the house. I knew he was in Seattle, but that didn't help at all. Seattle was big as fuck, so I took a needle out the bag Hestia had given me for the quest and a map to use them on a spell to locate Aries. Eldinifo 8 Edicol Sarah? The needle immediately started to glow in a faint black color that showed the spell was in place. Seconds later, it started to move around the map. Haha, yes. Wait for me, Aries. I will fuck your idiotic plot. Once again, I celebrated too early, why? Well, allow me to explain. When I started my hunt on Aries, I forgot a few details about the gods and their powers. And to summarize, I forgot gods can be in several places at the same time, which meant my location spell was, well, useless. The fucking nettle had been moving nonstop around the map for hours trying to locate Aries, never stopping in one location for more than 5 seconds. But I suppose not all was in vain. I did learn Aries goes to every bar in Seattle for at least 5 seconds 100 times an hour. And yes, I know that doesn't make sense mathematically speaking. Sue me. Hey, who the fuck are you? Oh yeah, I had totally forgotten I was in Crack Town, and a crack citizen had entered the crack cave. Look, I have a headache and not much time to waste. So go smoke your crack or your drug of choice out of here, I said, not even looking at the guy that had entered the house. You little shit, the guy snarled, walking towards me in what I assumed was his walk of, "I'ma show this little shit some respect." I sighed, turning around to stop the guy from trying to stab me, with a quick kick that sent him literally flying through the drywall of the room we were in. Demigod strength, I suppose. I chuckled, wondering if I had killed the guy. "Hey, are you all right?" I asked, getting no response. "I will burn the house if you are dead. You know, to burn the evidence, so talk now or die in flames." "I'm not dead." And there it is, I almost killed well, I wouldn't say an innocent man, but I can't judge based on his really self-destructive actions, so I will go by. I almost killed an innocent but positively guilty guy, 50-50. All right, now take that concussion and think about your life. I chuckled. "I will." The guy groaned in pain. With a satisfied chuckle, I turned around to see that the needle had stopped in a hotel. It seems I will get a cock block of God. I will think of the deadly consequences later. Who said the demigod business gets boring is a fool? No one said that. Good luck with your future life choices, I shouted as I left the house. Thanks. The guy groaned and I laughed. This poor guy really cracked me up. Deciding it would be a waste of mana to teleport to the hotel, I walked to the hotel, hoping Aries wasn't as quick as a roster on the bed, which for a god would be hilariously bad. The hotel was a somewhat high-end one, but nothing that said I am rich and dumb. More along the lines I am rich and want to fuck. All right, I sighed as I looked with trepidation at the hotel entrance before reluctantly walking in. As soon as I entered the hotel, I could feel the power vibrating in the air. That sounded very sexual, following the power to the source. I walked to the elevator and went to where the suits were, all while thinking what would be a godlike cock-blocking line. "Here's Johnny." "Nah, cock-a-doodle don't." "Maybe." Holy shit. I gasped as the elevator opened on the last floor, shocked to feel something I'd failed to notice till now. There was more than one godly figure here. Must be Aphrodite, I concluded, considering Aries was head over dick for her, the all-fuckable goddess of love. Oh well, I chuckled. I will exterminate any intercourse in the perimeter. I added with my best Terminator expression. And there I stood, seeing the door with an underline of fear, I mean, would Aries know I was on a quest, and would he abide by the Olympian rules of not going all out against a demigod on a quest? Or would he forget about such things and kill me for cock-blocking him? I suppose I will find out. Housekeeping, I said as I knocked at the door. If I was going to go out, I would make my last moment hilarious. Housekeeping. I knocked again after getting no response. Get the fuck out. And that has to be Aries. Or Aphrodite has a very deep voice. Housekeeping. I knocked again, as the fear within me was changed for amusement. I mean, he hadn't outright killed me, which meant I was on the right tracks for now. For the love of... I rented the entire floor to avoid interruptions. Now, go away. Aries shouted. Housekeeping. Go away. I come in anyway. I was having more fun than I should be allowed to. What? No. Aries shouted in disbelief. I come in anyway. I smiled, opening the door with my magic. Ha. Oh dear. As I entered, I could see Aphrodite laughing and Aries fuming. I said no. Aries said, in a very angry tone. All right, sorry for this sex break, I said with a smile, but I'm on a quest from Hestia, a demigod. Aries growled, and Aphrodite started to laugh even harder, much to his anger. You didn't notice? Aphrodite giggled, looking at Aries before turning her pink eyes to me. I heard from Apollo you were a prankster, and I am glad he didn't oversell you. She winked at me. And now that my eyes rested on her body, her beautifully naked body, I was certain I had never seen a woman so beautiful in my life. She was too perfect to put into words. Her breasts, her hair, her everything. What is the fucking quest? And it better be important, Aries demanded. And just now I noticed he was also naked. Oh well, I'm part of the Greek pantheon. I was bound to see a dick sooner or later. I am actually surprised it took this long. I was tasked to retrieve the Master Bolt and the Helm of Darkness from you. Hestia found out you have them, and she wants to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. I lied. Why did I lie? Well, one, Aries is afraid of his dad to a very large extent. And if he thinks Hestia knows and will tell Daddy Zeus about his plans to avoid the holy war from breaking, he will be less aggressive in his actions against me, if only to avoid his ass being dusted. You what? Aphrodite hissed. Huh? And here I thought she knew. Hestia knows, Aries muttered, ignoring Aphrodite for the moment. Hestia allowed me to come and retrieve the items, but she knows you would not bend down to a simple request. So, let's have a duel. With you on my same level, of course. I don't want to die in a nanosecond. I chuckled. If I win, you will give me the 2 symbols of power, and I will give them back. And don't worry, nor me, nor Hestia will tell the king who had them. If you win, I shut my mouth, and so does Hestia. Deal? Aries looked at me in contemplation, before a grin broke into his face. Very well, champion of Hestia. Before you two go and fight, I have a question. Aphrodite smiled. Did you plan on asking us to join our bed? I think I saw this little bit on an American show. Wait, Family Guy's a thing here too? I know. Too bad. Aphrodite winked as she walked towards the bathroom. I turned to look at Aries in minor disbelief, to see him shrug with thoughtful look. If you survive our duel, I don't mind tossing your ass like a salad kid. The fuck is wrong with you people? I laughed, but this was no laugh of joy, but of panic, pure, unadulterated panic. When you live as long as we gods do, the line between sexual orientation starts to blur. Aphrodite commented with a smile. Why have one flavor when you can have them all? Fuck this, I am out. And with that, I started to walk out of the room. But first, let us fight, Aries stated with a smile. And all of a sudden, we were in the middle of a place that closely resembled a Greek arena. The winner takes all. If I win, you and Hestia will shut their mouths, and let me go with my plan. If you win, haha, sorry, but I can't finish that sentence without laughing. Cocky little shit. Just because he's a god and can basically one-shot me if he fights at full power, he thinks that I don't stand a chance? Well, he's right, but he isn't fighting at his full power, which means I can win. We'll see who laughs at the end. For a consolation prize, kid, my offer still stands. Aries winked. A night with me and Aphrodite, if you survive, it will be a unique experience. I am 11. What was wrong with these gods? I am a child with powers, but a child. And your point is? Aries asked. Maybe all he needs is a drink to calm his nerves. Honey, Aphrodite offered. Still 11, I shouted again. You know what? Let's just fight. This is getting weirder and weirder as the conversation progresses. All right, but remember that ass tossing is up for the grabbing. Aries chuckled, summoning his sword. I need an adult, I muttered. I'm an adult. Aries chuckled. Maybe he is more into tossing than getting tossed. Aphrodite commented, does that make it better for you? She asked me. It does not, and again. Still 11. I stood with my sword ready. As Aries approached me, the rules in our duel were simple. The first one to get out of the arena would lose the duel. And I wasn't ready to lose. Not today. Not with the stakes at hand. What were those stakes? My ass. And not in the, if I lose, I will die now. I meant quite literally my ass. Aries was attracted to me, and so was Aphrodite, it seemed. So Aries put an extra condition to our duel if I lose. I would have to sleep with them. Don't worry, kid. I'll be gentle. Aries smirked. I seriously need an adult, I muttered, keeping my guard up. We are adults, Aphrodite pointed out. Very old ones at that, which is why I know we will make you feel good. The fact you two are thousands of years older than me makes this, I pointed between them and me, worse. Seriously, what appeal, sexual at that, can I have? I haven't even gone through puberty yet. There is nothing sexy about me yet. Oh, a self-burn, those are rare. I don't know. Aries shrugged. I just like you. The way he said like you almost made me teleport back to camp. That's it. I wanted to have some fun, maybe learn a bit from the god of war himself in the way of the sword, but no. I sighed and immediately narrowed my eyes at Aries, noticing he was smiling in a very smug way. Don't you fucking dare. You know I didn't mean that, sword. The point is I am done. So you surrender? You know that means I get to tap ya? Aries chuckled. Surrender? Oh, no. I chuckled. I am beyond that point. You push me beyond the point of no return, and you will suffer for it. I smirked. Aries chuckled. This ought to be good. And how do you plan to make me suffer? You know the best thing about rules? I asked him with a smile, is that you gods have to follow them for the most part. I chuckled. You have to fight me on demigod levels of power, meaning, well, for the lack of a better term, you are my bitch. Say what? Aries asked. Noisalks? I think this was the first time in my life I had used a spell with such an absurd amount of vindictive hate. And yes, I count the one that saved life. Noisalks, or explosion, worked exactly as the definition of the word. It exploded, and Aries didn't see it coming. The blast pushed him back in a loud snap, smashing his body to the wall and then to the ground. What in the fuck was that? Aries exclaimed in shock, bleeding in the ground quite profoundly from his body, showing his physique was of a demigod now, vulnerable to my attacks. Good. Noisalks. And so I answered his question, and by answered I mean I exploded his body again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and, well, you guessed it again, I stopped doing so once I felt my mana going below the recommended. This is so bullshit. Aries groaned in pain. Since when can demigods blow things like that? Give me the fucking weapons. I was surprised his demigod or godly depowered body was still intact, considering he was using the level of strength normally seen in a demigod to fight me under the Olympian rules of questing, and I'm sure that amount of explosions would kill any demigod. Alas, killing him was not my intention. Not that I could have. I ain't done yet. Aries barked, and I smirked. Look where you are. I pointed to his feet. Clever boy, Aries sighed, realizing he was out of the ring. You pushed me with the explosions out of the area. Very smart. Oh, well, rules are rules. He snapped his fingers in annoyance, and a bag appeared in front of me. Inside the bag, there were the two items I've been tasked to retrieve, the Master Bolt and the Helm of Darkness. Huh, he won, Aphrodite commented. And now I want him more, she added with a smile. If only she was the only one looking for my booty. Oddly enough, me too, Aries chuckled. It has been a while since a demigod fought me like a true warrior. Now all I need to do is make him a true man, and things are back to normal. I will not. Fuck you, or get fucked by you, you horny little prick. I stated, my eyes locked on Aries for a second before they turned to Aphrodite. As for you, call me. Aphrodite winked at me, and Aries smiled. I like the challenge, kid. I promise you, you will accept my offer one day, Aries smirked. I hate you. And with that I teleported back to my hideout, the crack house. Is someone there? I need an ambulance, the crack addict I left a few hours ago muttered. I can see my life flashing before my eyes, and for some reason, I only see the kind of game moments. I need help. I think that's something you have to figure out. I chuckled. Oh no, the child with abnormal strength is back. Help! The crack I tried to shout, but it came out as a whisper. Is that necessary? I asked. Please don't kill me, man. I promise I will never smoke anything again, man. I will even start going to church. Wow. Apparently violence is the answer to solve today's society. All right. I chuckled, but you better pray to me. You got, the guy asked. No, I'm a demigod. I chuckled. It makes sense now. The strength, the weird abracadabra shit. I got my ass kicked by violent Jesus, the man stated. What? No. I shook my head. I'm not Jesus, nor his violent version. I explained going into detail about how different and unrelated to me was the Christian figure, all while wondering was all of this really worth it? I mean, I was going to erase his memories soon. Why explain him shit? Plans are only as good as the planner, and boy do I suck at planning. I mean, what was I supposed to do now? I had the lost symbols of powers, and yet I had no plausible way to return them. I mean, what the fuck did I thought? Going to Olympus and being like, hey Zeus, I have your weapon. So how is the weather today? I would probably die before I managed to finish the sentence. Hestia, she could probably help. Nobody hates her, so... Hestia, please come. I have what you sent me to retrieve, but I fear I have no idea how to return it. You made me burn, or rather incinerate my cookies, Hestia said, coming into view in a burst of flames. How did you recover the master bolt so fast? There were a lot of sexual things involved, and I think I need to sleep with an eye wide open now, Sue. Let's tackle one problem at a time. I answered with a light shudder, remembering the promises Aries made of tossing my ass like a Greek salad, whatever that meant. I feel like I don't want to ask what you meant by sexual things, Hestia said with a frown and a smile. So, let me guess, you want me to take the Master Bolt back to Zeus to avoid his possible, and by possible I mean his totally predictable reaction? Pretty much it, I nodded. Wise train of thought, Hestia sighed. All right, I'll do it, she smiled. Thanks, I smiled, handing her the weapon. So, anything else? Hestia inquired with a knowing smile. Like, why do you have another symbol of power? Ow! I chuckled. I might not be the strongest Olympian, but if there's something I do well, better than others is seeing, I watch and listen. So tell me, how did you get the other? Hestia inquired with a smile. Same thing, a lot of sexual things, I shuddered. Do you need help taking that one back? Hestia asked, and I shook my head. Very well, I trust to take the other symbol of power back to its owner, she added with a tone of finality. I nodded, and with that Hestia disappeared back into the flame she had created, leaving me on another mission altogether. Now to Hades, I guess, I sighed. Hades POV. When I saw a kid entering my realm, I was confused, then intrigued. What was a child doing on my realm? And how had he entered it? My realm was not easily accessible. Then, I felt my helmet with him. He was carrying it, and I got angry, no, furious, and I couldn't help but wonder was he the one that stole it? But after calming down a bit, I noticed he was carrying a very particular scent, the scent of Hestia. The hearth was all over him, meaning Hestia trusted him. And if she did, well, perhaps the kid was not all bad, perhaps he was worthy of not killing without looking more into the matter. So I went to him, I wanted to confront him to see what kind of man he was, and so I met him. And now I was face to face with a new emotion I didn't expect to feel. I was surprised, befuddled at how he treated me. He simply looked at me, smiled, and handed me what was rightfully mine. No fear, no disgust, no negative emotions towards me. He even asked me if he could buy an apartment down here, and I couldn't help but laugh. What a refreshing feeling this was, a human that didn't fear me. So I accepted a bit too eagerly and offered him a place to live within my realm for free. After all, it was but a small gift of gratitude for his deed. But instead of accepting, he shook his head and said he didn't need the place for free, that he had the money to pay for it, that the only thing he wanted from me was being my friend. I was so shocked with the prospect of a demigod, just wanted to have a friendly talk every now and then with me for his heroic deed, that I couldn't help but nod. This was so unreal, so unexpected, so expected actually. He was blessed by Hestia. And if someone was a good judge of character, it was her. No wonder this demigod is so different from the ones that had come before him. Hestia herself had blessed him. That alone made him unique. Very well. I nodded with a chuckle. I don't mind being your friend, young demigod. Neat. Now, about the apartment, what do you have that is good for a vacation time? You know, no monsters and stuff? Adam asked with a smile. You will regret not taking my offer for a free place. I don't plan on giving you a discount now. I smirked. Meh. Don't worry. I have quite a lot of money saved up. Adam chuckled. What a strange demigod. I could kill him with a simple thought, and yet he was so relaxed, so calmed. And unlike some gods, I like this. Very well. Let's see if your wallet is where your mouth is. Zeus POV. Hestia had returned my Master Bolt, and I didn't know what to think of this whole ordeal. Obviously, she didn't recover the item by herself, but someone she knew. There was a chance it was probably the same person that stole it, and she had found out and was now protecting said person, or someone that knew who had stolen it and had said nothing about it, but I inclined to the first option. So naturally, I demanded to know who was the one that recovered my weapon, so that I could smite him for his hubris. But Hestia, instead of doing what her king had asked her, she had the audacity to deny my request. Hestia, tell me now, I shouted, making Olympus itself shake with my rage. Zeus, this is the reason why I came here instead of the hero who retrieved your weapon. You see enemies where there are none. Hestia once again refused to follow my orders. At the end of my second quest, everything ended. Quite well, too well, and things never go this way for me, Hades agreeing to have a friendship with me. Zeus not smiting me, a mission where I didn't end up almost dying. Granted, this was my second quest so far, but still. And now that I was back on the camp, I couldn't help but wonder, was something terribly wrong going to fuck my recently acquired luck streak? Oh wait, no, I suppose Hades and his ridiculously high prices count as the negative highlight of my day. So I should be on the green. I mean, his prices were, I don't know how to explain it, but why did he have to be such a greedy emo? He has no market to target, and yet sells properties on his realm like townhouses in Beverly Hills or something. It almost made me reconsider returning his friendship and getting the property for free. I mean, I still had the receipt. Champion of Hestia Hunt. Annabeth commented as she entered my hair salon / cloth store / makeup / everything magic can summon shop. Hi, Penny Beth. I chuckled. That was never going to get old. Very funny, but I'm here for my weekly hair retouch, not for your lame jokes, Annabeth chuckled, snapping her finger in a very diva-like way. Is it really wise to mess with the guy that does your hair? I smirked at her, and for a moment she opened her mouth to reply, but giving honor to her original nickname. The wise girl shut her mouth into a thin line. I thought so. I love my job and the privileges it gives me. So, why didn't you tell me Hestia made you her champion? Pennybeth said, try to worm her way to a few answers she somehow thought she deserved. She was my friend, but even friends don't tell everything to each other. Two can play that game. Why didn't you tell me you had your period last week? I asked. That's personal. Annabeth barked. And so on my champion deals, I shot back with a smile. Now you have a new color or... I added, touching her hair to make a point. Sometimes I can't tell if you're too smart or just random enough to appear smart, Annabeth sighed. I want the same style, but with some blue shades. I like to think I'm both very smart and very random. I chuckled, blue shades, got it. Zeus POV. Hestia refused to answer my demands over and over again, but it mattered not. I knew now who had recovered my weapon. I knew now who had stolen it. Bring me Adam Aragon now, I shouted, ordering my daughter Artemis to do so. And for a brief moment, I was able to see a faint but unbecoming tint of doubt on Artemis, as if she was weighing whether or not to obey. I will, father, Aries stated with a bright smile, which was odd, very odd. Aries would never offer himself for a task he would always say was beneath him. Perhaps he wanted to impress me? No, I will go. Artemis snarled at him, in all honesty. It surprised me. Why was she so angry with Aries all of a sudden? It was just a boy, a son of Leto. He was a son of Leto. Artemis was angry at the prospect of Aries killing him. No, I smiled, looking over Aries. Go, son, and retrieve him. But father, the hunt is... Artemis started, but I cut her off with a glare. Aries will do. He offered himself to do the job. I stated, leaving no room for discussion. Adam POV. Another day, another buttload of money I siphoned out of the demigod's pocket with my very versatile skills. Not bad. Not bad. All right, time to see if Hestia wants to eat some cookies. I could go for a cookie, that voice. Aries, what are you doing here? I asked, looking at the man that wanted to tap my no-no square. I'll put it in terms you understand, Dad. My dad is pissed, very pissed. He thinks you stole his weapon and returned it out of fear. So he wants to kill you, Aries said with a smile, and I started to see any possible routes of escape. Aries, noticing this, smiled. I have a way out of this, easy way out. Oh no, what? I asked, almost sure I was not going to like the answer. I will convince Dad it wasn't you. And in exchange, I will get what I want. I could almost hear in the background the booty warrior shouting, I like ya, and I want you me, an Aphrodite once a month deal. I'll forget about it. Age clearly has no importance to you. I couldn't believe it. My destiny had found a new way to fuck me. This time, quite literally. I'll make it even easier for you. This deal will start once you're 16. Is that better? Aries offered. I think 5 years to mentally prepare are good enough for human standards. 5 years, well, 4.5 to plan. The most important plan of all, Operation Save My Booty. All right, I accept. Nah. Swear to the river of the Styx. Aries smirked and I sighed. I swear it of the river of the Styx that I will do what you said about having a trio with you and Aphrodite. Once I grow up, as soon as I said that, the loud, thundering noise of a thunder was heard in the distance. All right now, let's save that ass. I need it alive so that I can toss it. Aries barked in a laugh, and that day, I knew he was going to be the first god to die by my hands. Yeah, let's go. I nodded. Now let me do the talking. Dad is easy to manage if you know what to do and say in the right moments. So please shut the fuck up, Aries ordered, and I nodded. Not like I had much of a choice if I ran for it. I would literally put a target on my head, and every god would hunt me down this way. The boot in a dark room. Adam was sitting in front of the hearth of his cabin, drinking hot chocolate. The day was cozy and deserved to be enjoyed. Oh, hi. Adam smiled, turning to nowhere in particular. Hi, readers. It's your prankster and for now fourth wall breaker, Adam. He chuckled. I read the comment section of the last chapter, and I thought, it's up to me to answer some questions. Adam gently put his cup of hot chocolate on the floor. I saw many people crying about my booty. Are you guys attracted to me? I mean, why would you cry for my booty? Don't tell me. You guys are otherworldly versions of Aries. Adam shuddered. All right, enough messing around. He laughed. I know many are angry at the deal I made with Aries. Believe me, my booty is angry too. Adam sighed. But it was either that or total damnation. Besides, I have a secret to confess. I plan on saving my booty. Adam chuckled. I will not let Aries clap them cheeks. But for now, him believing that saves me from dealing with a being I can't hope to match, Zeus. Adam smiled and grabbed his cup of chocolate. Operation Save the Booty will be filled with unnecessary but hilarious steps, which may or may not be necessary for the mission to be completed. Oh well, just wanted to clarify that my dear snowflakes. Adam grinned. Oh, and besides, it would not be the first time someone breaks an oath to the Styx, but I suppose in my case, I am operating under the Gray's lines. You'll see. See you next time you guys get offended. I have to go back to troll Annabeth. See ya. I was terrified. Meeting with Zeus was not something I wanted to do. Not in the near future. I wanted to live a bit before that. And here I was, on the Olympus, watching Aries and Zeus talking to each other, all while Artemis looked at me worriedly. My son says you are innocent, Zeus said, almost as if not believing his son didn't want someone to die. If only he knew his son was as much of a horny dog as him. Is it true you only recover my weapon? He inquired. Yes, I nodded. Very well. Then I owe you a reward for doing Olympus a favor. Just like that? No other questions? I mean, I don't complain, but holy crap, one question and done? How can he be paranoid and so stupid at the same time? Let go, Adam. You have shit to do. I couldn't possibly ask for anything. I really hope he sucks at telling if people are lying, because I was lying through my teeth right now, putting a humble, uninterested shoe when I would most absolutely take any rewards. I like stuff, and free stuff hold a special place in my heart. I know. I will give you a nice weapon. It's a fitting gift for what you did, Zeus smiled. Now, feel free to explore Olympus for today. After all, you didn't get to come during the last field trip. So, take this chance to see the place. Consider that another reward. And with that, Zeus was gone. I told you. Now, let's go and see Aphrodite. I want to let her know. We will have you soon with us, Aries smirked. Nope. I shook my head. I want to go back. Olympus is too blindingly white. Everything shines here. I am pretty sure I will need glasses after coming here. I couldn't even see your father completely, so I want out. And he will go out, Artemis stated, stopping Aries from arguing the subject any further. Fine, Aries sighed, as he started to walk away, leaving me with my sister. How did you find out where the weapons were? Why didn't you tell me? And why is Aries so friendly with you? Artemis bombed me with a bunch of questions. She was worried. A dream. I lied. I didn't want to annoy you. And well, let's say Aries wants to toss my ass like a salad. That sounds rather unhygienic and, oh, wow. I knew she's a virgin, one of the 3 maidens of Olympus, but still that sexual innuendo took way too long to hit her, I see. And well, he helped me in exchange for my precious booty. Little did he know he was not going to tap my no-no square that easily. No knew. I would make his path to it a life-threatening experience. I will keep an eye on him, Artemis sighed, noticing my discomfort. Now let me take you back to the camp, and please don't get the attention of anyone else for a while. Sorry, sister, but I am fabulous. In a no-homo way. With a flash, I was back to the camp, inside my cabin to be precise. So retaking things where I left them, I walked to my bed with a smile on my face, and I couldn't help but sigh in relief, fully realizing I had survived Zeus and his paranoid ass, a feat not many had done. I'm sorry, Hestia said, coming inside my house through the fireplace, tackling me into a hug. I never expected him to summon you. It's all right, I sighed. Aries POV. Adam intrigued me. He was both strong and appealing, not only to me, but to my Aphrodite. Maybe he was the third we were so desperately looking for, a third to fuck for weeks at a time. With him, I would have access to more fun. Aphrodite seemed eager to have more toys to play with, and so was I. So 5 years? Aphrodite asked, with a smile, and I nodded. You should have seen his face. It was precious. I barked with laughter. Of that, I have no doubt, Aphrodite giggled. Luke POV. Adam has been a problem since he arrived, but now? Things had gotten out of control. He had retrieved the symbols of power in a day. And Kronos was not happy. Not at all. That kid was an unknown before, but now he is a threat to our plans, Kronos stated, angry. What do you want me to do? I asked, knowing what he would ask. Kill him, and make sure he suffers. He can't be allowed to exist, Kronos growled. I didn't like the guy, but I didn't hate him that much. What if I convince him to join us? I asked. You think that's possible? Kronos asked after a long second of silence, and possibly contemplation about that prospect. While he doesn't hate the gods like most of the camp does, he hates people equally, be it gods or mortals, from taking his freedom. We could easily offer him more freedom in exchange of taking the Olympians down with us, I explained. Very well. Try to convince him, if not kill, Kronos said, his voice vanishing into the abyss. I hope for your own good, Adam, that you see my way is for the best for us. Adam Aragon POV. Next day, another dollar, or rather a few thousand, a lot of thousands. Hey, Percy, what are you doing here? I asked as I saw Percy enter my magic shop of services. I have a quest, and, well, it's to retrieve my mom, and I want you to come with me and Annabeth, Percy said with a smile. A chance to annoy Annabeth even more, sure. Besides, this would be a great opportunity to flex my friendship with Hades. Thanks, I will never forget this. Percy smiled, beaming with happiness. No problem now. Let me take a nap, and I'll be good to go in no time, I chuckled. I wanted to recover the mana I had lost during my normal day-to-day life with my new beauty business. Better full than lacking half of it. When I was invited by Percy to help him, I expected things to go smoothly. I had derailed the plot like a supreme Chad. But I failed to account for one little, almost non-important, and easily forgettable detail. Percy has even worse luck than me. The quest was simple. Go to the underworld and retrieve Percy's mom. Alas, simple was not a word or state of life we demigods could enjoy. But Adam, what do you mean? Well, here I was running from a Cyclops who was basically immune to damage. Why was the Cyclops attacking us? Well, Percy smells like the best fucking thing, that's why. Don't you have anything to kill him? Percy asked. Of course, Percy. I enjoy running for my life. What do you think? There were idiots, and then there was Percy. I mean, come on, if I could kill the bastard, I would. You don't have to be an ass, Percy replied. An ass? I am running with you guys. This little shit thought I was being an ass. Well, let me show him what an ass is. Edit to Vel. I levitated myself over the monster. Now I'm being an ass. See the difference? Levitate us, Annabeth demanded. I know he's an idiot, but I refuse to die because of it. Not like I was going to let them die. I wasn't, I swear it. Edit to Vel, Iker P, DNA to Banna. I roll my eyes at her as I levitated them out of the Cyclops' reach. And here I thought I had bad luck. So far we have fought 3 Minotaurs, 1 Cyclops, and a big-ass snake. Is not that bad, Percy muttered. We left the camp 30 minutes ago. 30. Both me and Annabeth shouted. Sorry, Percy chuckled. All right, so I doubt we will make it to the underworld alive. So, any ideas? I asked Annabeth. Only Annabeth. Percy was a nice guy, but yeah. Well, first we have to find an entrance to the underworld, Annabeth sighed. Come down. The Cyclops whined, jumping over and over again, trying to reach us. I know one, I answered, turning my eyes to the Cyclops. You are on a diet now. Look at how fat you are. Too many demigods, I tell you. You need more veggies, less godly children. Is it wise to tease him? Percy asked with a frown. I enjoy it, I shrugged. Besides, your fish smells attract them regardless of my teasing, so good luck in the future. Shut up, Percy, Annabeth ordered. Now about that entrance to the underworld. Where is it? She asked me. In the train station, close to the Starbucks that is nearby the station. I answered, getting a few odd looks from Percy and Annabeth. What? Hades likes his Starbucks, and so does Persephone. So he created a door close to his favorite store. That was literally the expiation Hades gave me. You know Lord Hades? Annabeth muttered in disbelief. Bitch, I am going places. Yes, we know each other. Nothing bad, I assure you. Did you know he took my mom? Percy asked, angry. Yes, and so did you. I nodded, unsure why he was angry. If you're asking if I knew and didn't do anything to rescue her, then yes. I mean, I have no power over that. What did you expect? Percy muttered. No time for that. Annabeth sighed. Can you teleport us to the specific Starbucks? Yes and no. I sighed. I have wasted a lot of mana avoiding the Hurricane Percy. I pointed to Percy, who frowned at that. Don't get mad, man. It's the truth, I chuckled. So you don't have enough mana? Annabeth sighed, and I shook my head. I do, but if I learned something during my first quest was to never waste any mana, and if I teleport us, I will be dry for a bit. Besides, for some reason, Percy is what I like to call a magical leech. Levitating him is costing me twice as much mana as it's taken me to levitate the both of us. Of course, Percy had to had another stupid thing, Annabeth muttered. Sorry, Percy muttered. It's all right, I shrugged. I think it's because of your dad. As the son of one of the big three, you probably have a bigger pool of mana, which in turn would make you heavier mana-wise, or would give you a considerably better magic resistance than most. Or if my theory is correct, your body is simply rejecting my hold, and as a result, it consumes a lot more. That's just a theory, though. Can you fly us there? Annabeth asked, and I chuckled. And what? Say hi to New York from skies. I chuckled. You do realize I don't have any invisibility spells. Then, I have an idea, Annabeth grinned, and I didn't like it. Annabeth's plan was, well, it made me question if she was as smart as she thought she was. I mean, her idea was so basic, stealing a car and driving that shit like GTA. The plan had other details like me changing our looks to not get profiled as criminals and stuffs. In this plan, Annabeth would drive. I would keep the Cyclops at bay with my magic, and Percy, well, he would exist in the car. Man, I don't know. So far, his utility to the team has been attracting monsters like crazy and stuff. I'm having an inner struggle to decide if you are smart or simply an idiot with knowledge. I sighed, shooting fireballs at the monster. Another monster in front of us. Percy shouted, I will kill you before we rescue your mom. You have no idea how close to that point I am. I sighed. Oh well, the more the merrier. Come at me, fuckers. I'm a demigod, low and fat, dairy-free, gluten-free, keto-friendly, low in sodium and paleo-friendly. I chuckled as I took a deep breath to shout a mighty battle cry. I am organic. After a long hour of monsters chasing us, followed by a police chase that might or might not have been directed towards us considering the mist, that ended on a crash where Annabeth almost blew up the car, we were finally in the underworld. Well, I have certainly grown to hate you now, Percy. I chuckled, patting the fish demigod on the back. Now let's get your mom out of here before you're awful. Awful luck fucks with us even more. Just as I finished that sentence, a mighty and frightening growl was heard behind us. Sorry. Percy chuckled. No, you don't, bitch. I narrowed my eyes at Percy into a thin line. All right, Scooby. I turned to see the massive dog running at us, his teeth promising a lot of pain. I have permission to be here. Check with your daddy. So be good, doggo, and fuck off. Or eat Percy. I don't care. Dude, Percy growled. I'm cool either way. Annabeth chuckled, getting an exasperated look from Percy that only made her laugh harder. Cerberus looked at me and my group, and, after a long moment of considering my words, he licked me, showing his approval. Ew. I shuddered as the disgusting feeling of my body being fully covered in saliva sinked in. Cute on small dogs, disgusting on big. I think he likes you, Annabeth giggled. Cerberus. I smiled at the three-headed dog who tilted his head at the calling of his name. Lick those too. I grinned, and much to the dismay of my companions, Cerberus obeyed. Did you have to order him that? Annabeth muttered, in a rather sour tone. One win. That's all I ask. Let me prank you once without repercussions. That's what we have training for. I roll my eyes at her. You turn me into a killer clown. People still call me Penny Beth. Annabeth shouted. And that was the result of you getting angry in one training session. No, that was the result of you hitting me in the nuts. I corrected. Normal ass whoppings? I don't do nothing, but my boys have insurance, and is me. Yep, Percy nodded. Well, if we continue like this, we should be arriving at the castle in about 6 to 8 hours, I stated, changing the subject. Quite a long way on foot, Annabeth sighed. I chuckled, realizing I had nothing to do here. And by we I mean you two. You two will have to walk for hours, not me. I winked at them. I will be having some tea with Persephone and Hades while you two get to the castle. You're going to leave us? Percy muttered in disbelief. How could you? Annabeth growled. Oh, no. Percy, I'm just going to open you some fuel with them. I lied. Oh, I see. Percy smiled, soften him up for me. Oh God, he's an idiot, Annabeth groaned. Yes, and after that show of blind faith Percy had in my word, I teleported away, promising to bring the subject of Percy's mom to Hades later. He kind of made me feel bad. Having tea with Hades was delightful. Both him and his wife Persephone were very good treating guests. Persephone, in fact, seemed happy to have visitors. I hope you like the cookies, Persephone smiled, putting her freshly baked cookies on the table. They aren't by any means on Hestia's level, but I like to think they are good. Delicious, I smiled, taking a bite. So, the kid is here for his mother? Hades inquired, and I nodded. Do you want to help him? Kinda. I answered, somewhat unsure. I don't want to leave his poor mother here. I meet the woman, and she's like a human version of Hestia. I see, Hades nodded. But I also want Percy to work for it. I chuckled. I mean, I've been carrying the team all day long, so... A wise choice, Hades chuckled. Now, while he makes his way here, how about we play some Smash? Sure, but when Percy and Annabeth get here, tell them I was going through some trials or something like that. I chuckled. Don't worry, we got you. Persephone smiled, pushing me into the Underworld arcade, where we played for hours, and where I found out Persephone was a mean Wario main, beating Hades in almost every round. 5 hours later, Annabeth POV. 5 hours ago, Adam left us. God, how much I hated that man. Sometimes, not nearly as much as the hate I had for Percy, he actually believed Adam was talking to the gods on his favor, as if Adam is a good guy. But if he doesn't feel you're going to die, he lets you suffer for his twisted entertainment. I see the last 2 demigods have finally arrived. The power I felt coming from that voice was enough to push my head down in reverence. Hades, the most terrifying god, was standing in front of us. Your friend was here a few hours ago, and he did so challenges? Yes, challenges to gain this audience you two are having. I wasn't sure what to think of this. It almost sounded like Lord Hades was unsure about what he was saying. Where is he right now? Percy asked, showing clear distress over our friend. He is on a challenge. Right now, Hades answered, once again sounding unsure. Yes, Percy, I'm on a challenge, Adam shouted, and for some reason he sounded off. I took a deep breath and decided to understand the situation better because something was off. Looking at Lord Hades, I noticed he was wearing sandals, spa sandals. That alone was suspicious. Beside that, the smell in the room was not like the rest of the castle that smelled like lemons. No, the room smelled like coconut oil and scented candles commonly found in spas. Was Lord Hades having a spa day before we arrived? If so, where was Adam? Adam POV 1 hour earlier. After getting my ass obliterated in Smash. Like for real, I have never seen anyone as good as Persephone in the game. Anyway, after I lost to Persephone an innumerable amount of times, the queen of the underworld decided we all needed a good time of relaxation. I was perplexed with the fact that they had a spa in the underworld, and seeing I was in good need of some pampering, I accepted. The spa was probably the best thing in the world. Hades would use his power to summon the best people to treat us, leading to a super premium experience. The challenge here is not falling asleep. I mumbled in my deep trance of relaxation. That is correct, Hades nodded. It's good to have visits, Persephone smiled. Not often we can do this. It's nice, I mumbled, falling asleep, failing the challenge completely. After my spa day with Hades and Persephone, my difficult challenge to help Percy, I rejoined my teammates, with Percy being elated to see me and Annabeth glaring at me. I'm sorry, the challenge was challenging, especially the deep tissue massage. Why do you smell like coconut oil? Annabeth inquired, narrowing her eyes at me. Part of the challenge was conveniently solved with coconut oil, I replied with a smile. And I suppose the same answer applies as to why you have 2 slices of cucumber on your eyes and sandals that say Hades Hellish Spa Resort. Annabeth shot back. Wow, you really are smart, I chuckled. He went to a spa? Percy asked. He went to a spa, Annabeth confirmed. I did not do such a thing, I gasped. You have a spa pamphlet in your hand, Percy pointed out. Percy, are you going to sit here and ask me about what I did or didn't do? Or are you going to get your mom? Seriously, what's their problem? Hades hasn't. Percy started, but was silenced when his mom was magically teleported to the room we were in as Hades walked towards us, wearing the same attire I had, the spa attire. Percy, your friend here completed all my challenges, and for that. Here you go, Hades said as we rehearsed, pointing to Sally. And just like that, Percy turned from mad to grateful. Percy breathed out, running to his mom, all while I gave Hades the thumbs up. Oh, come on. Annabeth, on the other hand, was less than happy with the situation for some reason. Are we just going to forget he left us for hours for a spa day? Her questions were left unanswered by Percy, who was rejoiced to have his mother back. Annabeth, you should know by now, I always win. I winked at her, which only enraged her even more. One day, Annabeth muttered. The day I let you. I snorted. Thank you for saving me. Sally hugged me. This is the second time. Percy and Annabeth looked at me. Oh yeah, I met your mom a few months ago. I chuckled. I helped her with Gabe back then. So that's why he was behaving like a robot. Percy muttered, while Annabeth just kept staring at me. Yep, I nodded now. I would recommend getting a divorce, or would you rather be a widow? I asked Sally, wondering what spell I would have to use this time. Or maybe we could commit insurance fraud and make her rich. That would be nice. I don't know, what do you recommend? Sally asked, much to Percy's surprise. Put the fat bastard on insurance policy and wait for a bit. Then I will force him to off himself, and voila. Oh wait, I don't think it counts if it's a suicide. Oh well, heart attack it is, I shrugged. You are planning to kill a human? Annabeth asked, eyes wide open in shock. What kind of person are you? A demigod that kills monsters, I sighed. A man that takes pleasure in beating his wife and her child. Even though she tried to be the best wife, deserves no mercy besides. I am the champion of Hestia. House affairs are under my jurisdiction. I chuckled. I know Sally used him for his disgusting smell, But I also know she tried her best to live to the lie she had created for her son. Besides, if I don't kill him, Percy will. I pointed to the young demigod who was fuming in anger. I didn't know you suffered so much. Percy was struggling to speak, anger clouding his most basic functions. I will kill him. Don't be stupid, Percy. Be angry and smart. I chuckled. Right, he is under my control, and with a few tweaks here and there, your mom will be rich, and he'll be gone. Win-win. I winked. It just feels wrong. Annabeth breathed out. I asked Hades, and he confirmed he wasn't going to. Greek heaven, I sighed. Maybe if she knew Gabe wasn't going to Elysium, she would feel better. So, he is not different to the monsters we kill. Annabeth chuckled with no humor behind. Oh, there's a difference between them, I smiled. The monsters most of the time don't have a choice, Gabe. He did have a choice. No matter how much he hit me, everything was worth it to keep my little piece of the sea with me as long as possible, Sally added with a smile, kissing Percy on the forehead. Now to the Atom Mobile. I cackled. To the what? Everyone said, and I smiled. Oh, the wonders of having money and magic to modify a car to look like yourself. I love my life. I stated to sing as I ran towards my car. Atom. Hades POV. Adam was a mystery I enjoyed having close. He was both random and very to the point. A weird mix, if you ask me. His sense of humor was a good change of pace to the everlasting sorrow my realm normally was. Persephone loved him. The moment she saw him, they became BFFs, a human term for best friends, and seeing my sweet Sprint rose smile made his presence all the more worth it. Is that a car with his face on it? Persephone asked, suppressing with all her might the need to laugh. It is. I was not going to lie. I was also having a hard time keeping my composure. It seems he also has a theme song now. Persephone snorted at the sight of Adam jumping into his car. Can we keep him? Please see. He is planning to buy a place down here, so I suppose we will. I chuckled. He also has an Adam signal. How'd he do that? Persephone added as she entered a fit of laugh. Magic. And right here was the point. I lost it, and the king of the underworld fell to his knees laughing. Siren POV. Things had certainly changed since a certain demigod got to this camp. The prank ratio increased to a 1,000%, but he was a master on his craft, and we never had any proof to ground him. But, taking out the bad part, he was a nice kid, helping others out, giving the demigods on the campus semblance of what is to have a normal life. And yes, I know he makes money of that, but everyone here seems happier than before. His cabin was a shopping mall for demigods, one that I myself had used more than once. What can I say? He sells the best horseshoes in the market. The camp is quieter without the brat. Lord Dionysus commented with a frown, but I really knew what he was trying to say. I miss the brat and his pastries, the ones he gets from Hestia herself to sell. He will be back, Lord Dionysus. I smiled. He has to. You are his best client? Lord Dionysus snorted. I still can't understand how he convinced Hestia to work with him, but yeah, you are right. He has to. He owes me 3 cakes, and if I have to go to the underworld to get them, I will, he laughed. We both know that kid is hard to kill. I allowed myself to laugh. He is a crafty one, a bit reckless, but he was probably the strongest demigod of this generation. That he is, Lord Dionysus agreed. Can you hear that? I focused on the sounds around us, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. That was until a song caught my ears. I couldn't quite describe what the song was saying, or if it was a song to begin with, but it was getting closer. It's coming this way. That brat. Ha-ha. Lord Dionysus snorted. I will hand it to him. He has a lot of creativity, he smiled, not like the brain-dead fish we got recently. Before I could reply, the song that my ears had faintly caught stopped. For now, the lyrics were clear. Without a car broke into the camp with Percy, Annabeth, and Adam inside. Adam! Oh, for the love of God, kill me. Annabeth begged. I welcome the abyss, Percy muttered. Oh, come on, the song isn't that bad, Adam said, jumping out of the car. Besides, the Atom Mobile needed a song. 5 hours, we listened to the same verse for 5 hours. Annabeth growled. Mr. D, is the offer to liquefy my molecules still up? Percy muttered, looking at Lord Dionysus with pleading eyes. Lord Dionysus looked at Percy and then at Adam and smiled. You did good, brat. You did good. A pleasure to be of assistance, Adam bowed. I don't think I get paid enough for this, so I will go to the training camps, and so I galloped out of that weird situation, ignoring Annabeth and Percy calling for me. I was conflicted, but I knew they had to face this battle alone. Adam POV. I think by this point, psychologically trolling Annabeth was a hobby, one that I was stupidly good at. The Adam Mobile was just the first phase of my trolling master plan. The real part was my theme song, which I put on a loop for hours. But Adam, isn't that going to hurt you too? Well, if I was an idiot, it would. But alas, I was not. Not this time at least. You see, I muted my ears to avoid hearing the song altogether. Genius, isn't it? And with my ears protected, I let Annabeth and Percy suffer the worst thing you could do to the human mind, putting a catchy song on a loop. It will take them months to control their humming of my song. Ha ha. Ha ha mwah ha. I laughed, for victory was mine again. Mwah ha. I stopped my evil laugh when I heard someone else had joined in on my evil laugh, and that someone was Hestia, who had flames around her to accentuate her laugh. Sorry, it just seemed fun, she apologized, seeing I had stopped. Do you know why I'm laughing? I couldn't help but wonder if she would laugh if she knew the answer. You pranked Percy and Annabeth, practically inserting a song they will never be able to get out of their heads, right? Hestia smiled. I did not expect you to be okay with that, I admitted. I knew you were a prankster before I even talked to you, Hestia snorted. I have nothing against it. It's all in good fun. No one is dying, so thumbs up. I see. I chuckled. May we restart our evil laugh? I don't see why not, Hestia nodded. Mwahaha. And so we laughed, flames burning around us with the passion of our pranking hearts. Annabeth POV. God fucking damn it. I will find a way to have my revenge. I can't keep on losing, I muttered. No. I can't stop humming the song. I think he broke us, Percy muttered. All I think about is the song da-da-da every freaking second. We will have our revenge, Percy. I promised, even if it was the last thing I did, da-da. We can't beat him. He is unstoppable when it comes to pranks, da-da. Percy sighed. Then we will find a way, da-da. No one was unstoppable, da-da-da. I have but one question. Lee, who had come to sit with us, said, Why are you saying da-da-da every other sentence? I hate Adam, Percy and I said in one voice, da-da. Day by day, Percy and Annabeth tried, and ultimately failed to enact their revenge. It was funny really for them mere mortals to hope to match my might in the pranking arts. As a result of their hubris, I had cursed Annabeth and Percy to watch a documentary on how to make a documentary about how to make a documentary about documentaries. Needless to say, they stopped after that. 10 hours of uselessness made quite an impact on them, stopping their useless but entertaining pranking assaults. You made them watch that? Hestia commented, while taking my copy of the documentary on how to make a documentary about how to make a documentary about documentaries. I feel the need to burn this, and I don't know why. It's probably a weapon strong enough to kill a god. I nodded gravely. I see, Hestia nodded, carefully putting the CD back to where it came from. So now, what's your plan? My plan is to mess with Aries and his need to tap my booty. I informed her. He wants to what? Hestia asked in mild shock. He wants to, and I quote, toss my ass like a salad. I shuddered. If you want, I can talk with him, Hestia offered. No, I will simply use his plan to fuck his original idea. I laughed. You see, I realize Zeus has yet to reward me for my deed, even though he said he was going to give me a weapon. So I decided I will cash that reward out, and as my reward, I will get some booty insurance against all gods. That is remarkably smart, Hestia smiled. So, you want to lift his office? She offered and I nodded. Zeus POV. I didn't expect Adam to pop into existence in the throne room unannounced and uninvited. But considering he was with Hestia, I allowed myself to see what he wanted before killing him if it was a waste of my time. And I had to admit, I did not see his request coming, not even by a long shot, for his deed recovering my Master Bolt. He didn't request immortality like most demigods would, or even a weapon like I had originally offered. No, instead he asked for booty insurance. He was very specific with his request, oddly specific. And for some reason, Aries was mad at that. I will grant you your request. No god shall pursue you unless you personally give them the green lights. I was unsure how to feel with this request. Had any gods offered to sleep with him, or was he simply preemptively avoiding that? Thank you. Adam bowed, and Hestia giggled. Are you sure that's what you want? Hera, my wife asked, with a frown on her face. I do. Adam nodded with a smile. I find that request a bit presumptuous. Why would a god pursue you, unless? Hera said, narrowing her eyes at me, and then at him. Wait, you think he? No, 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 no. Adam said with clear disgust, placating her wrath a bit. No. Like a big no. I told you, honey. I narrowed my eyes at him, wondering why he was so disgusted by the prospect of me courting him. Adam POV. I thank you for you gift, my king. I bowed and left with Hestia back to the camp, where Aries was angrily waiting for us. You bitch. Aries screamed and I smiled. You cheated. So did you? I pointed out. You still made a promise. When you were 16, you will be ours or face the consequences of breaking a holy promise. Aries smirked. I don't think so. I smirked at his obvious lack of memory. I promised to do so when I grew up, and that, my dear friend, leave a lot of gray areas. It could be tomorrow. It could be in a million years. Who knows? Aries blinked, opening his mouth to answer, but failing to do so. Yeah, you have been played by a teenager. Aries laughed. Well played. This just makes the hunt more interesting, but for now. Well played, kid. Well played. Aries, to quote a famous old song, you're never gonna get it. Never, never gonna get it. I chuckled. We'll see. Aries chuckled as he teleported back to Olympus. I find this both highly disturbing and entertaining. I have never seen a mortal play with the gods so much without invoking their wrath. It's like you know how to push their buttons, Hestia commented. I suppose. I smiled. Now, what do we do now that my booty has FBI protection? FBI? Hestia asked. Federal booty insurance. I explained. Annabeth POV. Beating Adam was impossible. He was a master of his craft, like Percy said. He would not only counter our every attempt to prank, but he would return said attempt 10 folds back. At first, he started small by making us look like killer clowns, Pennywise 1 and 2. Then he stepped up on that and made sure his song was everyone around us. But his last prank was utterly diabolical. He made us watch a documentary about documentaries about how to make a documentary about documentaries. It was so stupid, so time-consuming, I almost considered burning the camp. But I was not done yet. I still had faith we would find a weakness in his being. I think we can. No, Percy interrupted. I had enough. Annabeth, we must know when to quit, can you see? He made us watch a documentary that was the definition of useless. And the worst part was that he said it was on his top 20 most boring DVDs. I don't want to know what the first one on his list has. I struggled to reply, for he had brought a very good point. Fine. I relented. See, Brain was right. Adam had one for now. I thank the gods he reconsidered. Percy cried. I fear seeing that documentary flashing before my eyes when my time comes. I know what you feel. I nodded.
Hello, everyone. As we wrap up this video, I want to share a quick note. I have a Patreon account. If you'd like to support me and enjoy on-demand audiobooks, you can become a Patreon member. Alternatively, you can check out my Google Drive link, which has 500+ novel audiobooks available through my Ko-fi or Patreon shop. I appreciate your support.